Go.
Kia ora koutou, hello everybody and welcome back to Epich Aotearoa Create a Better Future podcast as part of this special series in the service of others, Who Dares Wins. I'm super pleased and stoked to have a special guest today who goes by the name of Gregg Pup Johnson, or is commonly referred to or known as Pup. So welcome brother, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Mate,
Excited.
Oh man, me too. So I just want to first acknowledge and thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the podcast, bro. It's hard. It's been hard going. I'm not sure if you're aware, but it's been hard going to try to get some of the Kiwi lads, former Kiwi SAS regiment operators like yourself on the podcast, and I understand completely why. But just really grateful that you've accepted to come on, and looking forward to having a good time with you, bro.
Yeah, I want to say thank you too, bro. And just hearing Bill on, and then I've almost finished mids as one.
Yeah.
I think it's important we do talk, mate, and share our stories, and help other people understand what it was like and what it is like. Yeah, I think it's important for our people, especially the veteran community.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I personally feel there's a duty for us to share what we can share.
Awesome. Yeah. Appreciate that, man. And so as we go through, we'll definitely look to delve into some of that. But I just want to give a bit of a backdrop, because I appreciate some of the information that you've sent through to me. And I just want to read this first initial part, which will then just sort of lead into my first question for you, which is going to be around the SAS in and of itself. So let me read through this. So and just correct me as I go if I get something wrong. So you joined the army as a territorial force, or in the TF, in 1991. You went on to serve within Bravo Company, or B Company, 7 Battalion. You were there for just over a year, or about a year, before you joined the regular force in 1993. And then posted to Victor Company, 1 RNZIR. That was the company that I was with, so there at 1st Battalion. And you served there till 96. You got a compassionate posting because your dear grandmother was dying of cancer at that time. And you got a compassionate posting down to the South Island, to 2nd 1st Battalion. Another incredible battalion, but we won't hold that against you for heading down there. Then you first went to 11 Platoon, Delta Company, and then moved to the recon debts, or the company recon debts, whilst you were there, before you eventually posted to Recce Platoon in 1997. You served there till you did selection in 1999. We're going to come back to that soon. And then you started cycle in 2000, got badged that same year, and posted to one of the squadrons at the time within the unit. Man, what a journey. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've got here in between, because you've bounced around a whole bunch of places, worked with an incredible amount of just very experienced and skilled people, from what I know and understand, and some of the people I know as well that you've mentioned. But I just want to rewind back, and I just wanted to paint that bit of a picture so that people get a bit of an idea about some of your journey heading towards the New Zealand SAS. And I want to ask you, because I'm always fascinated by it, why did you decide to join the New Zealand SAS, or where did that come from? Was it always there, or was it something that you just woke up one year after being in the recon platoons down 2nd 1st and decided, I want to do this? Where did that come from for you, Pup?
Originally, bro, probably in two parts. Like, I understand now that it was my path. So the things that it led me to choosing to go there were just steps. But for me, bro, was as a young kid. My father was Air Force. So as a kid, up till I was 10, we were at Woodburn in Blenheim. Right. So every now and then I'd see the planes and people parachuting. Didn't know who they were, but I was lucky enough to go to work with my dad a lot and play on planes, and had a fashion. I wanted to be a helicopter crewman, bro, but the old grades at school, that vanished really quick. So had a dream, bro, to be a thing, and Bill said, yeah, you can do it, on his podcast, but at that age, bro, I couldn't. But yeah, bro, so I was, as a kid, I was dyslexic, so I didn't read too good and didn't enjoy school other than sport. And woodwork and metalwork. But as a very young kid, always into... My granddad was in World War II. He was in Crete.
Wow.
So I had this fascination about soldering. Commando comics, bro. I loved the images. I'd look at them and didn't read the words, but looked at the pictures. And then the Falklands War happened, bro, 1982, and they've just had their reunion, the 40 years. But as a kid, bro, I used to save up all my money, my $1.50. Every 2 weeks, the Falklands magazine come out. That was the history of the thing. And anyway, on the last one, there's 14 of these magazines, bro. And, and on the back cover they had a unit. Each one they had a unit in, and the last one I think was SAS, bro. And here he was, and he had a green Gore-Tex jacket on, and he had these big gaiters, bro, and a big pack, way bigger than anyone else, and had a M16 with a night sight on it, and bro, I was just like, that's me. I knew I wanted to be in the army. Like, I'd given up the Air Force. I knew I wanted to be in the army. So I was like Bill. I was 8 years old. Wow. I saw that picture. There was things of them and what they did during the Falklands, bro. Yeah. And it's like, man, I'm going to join the army, and that's what I'm going to do, because that's just cool. And it looked hard, but it looked like they're out there doing it. And I looked at all those other units, bro, and this is a theme through my career. Like you, drill, hated all that stuff, but it's like, man, I'm going to be in the SAS. So everything I did in the army, bro, I did 9 years before I did selection, and that was just because I was scared. I was scared of failing. I was a good soldier. Depending on who you talk to, I was a good soldier. But yeah, so that was it, bro. I was set at that age, man, this is what I'm going to do. And like I said, it did take a long time, but I said, man, I joined the infantry, and I did my 9 years in the infantry, 3 battalions. And it's like, I'm never going to war with these guys. If I'm going to get the opportunity to go to war, then I want to be with those dudes. And gratefully that played out. Man.
Awesome! Yeah. What an incredible. I mean, that's only a part of it, but I just wanted to jump in for a sec. I loved how you spoke about a part there, which I think resonates with a lot of people, because the amount of messages that have come through about being afraid. I love your openness and honesty about that, being a bit afraid or scared to do it at that time for various reasons. Because at that time as well, for you, Pup, there's not a lot of information out there about what's involved, what's required. There's definitely no documentaries out there, which are available now, but that stuff, it is very, very daunting. So how did you overcome that, mate?
Hey, bro. Yeah, one of my mates had gone, we're in the Ricky Debts together. Awesome dude, went on to join 2-2. Yeah. But he got badged, bro. I think he was 2 cycles ahead of you. Was his nickname.
Yep, I know the name.
Yeah. Sent me a nom, bro, in the mail. So I'm in Ricky Platoon. I get this envelope just with my name on it, and I open it up, and here's this blank nom, bro. I didn't know at the time who it had come from, bro. Had a clue. But yeah, just, looked in the mirror a little bit, bro, and said, hey, I've said I'm going to do this. And yeah, filled out that paperwork, bro, and secretly put it in. And for me, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I trained in secret, bro. I told nobody. I was up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock, and I'd do my training, and I'd sneak to the gym in the afternoon and do some training, bro, and headed away.
Good for you.
But that was it. Yeah, that's how I got over it, bro. Mate, sent it. Time to man up. I've said these words, and in here, time to do it.
And was that something that you had spoken about with your mate who sent you through the nom? Did he know about it? So had you spoken about that with KP? Is that why he sent you the...
Yeah, bro, yeah, because he was going up, and he was like, bro, you should come up, and, I wasn't ready at that time. I was scared, bro. I wasn't ready. I could have been ready. I was fit and strong and motivated, but I wasn't motivated enough. Yeah, man. But that nom, was Roger, right time.
That was the spark.
It was, bro. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I was getting to my 3 years in recce, bro. I was... I'd just done the juniors, which I'd avoided like the plague. So, what was for me to go back to a rifle platoon as a 2IC and then maybe a section commander? I'd rather do selection, bro. Selection.
It's funny, man. That's because I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you as well, so during that, what was selection like for you, bro? How was it all those things that you sort of were maybe either fearful about or that you anticipated, or was it worse? Was it better? Or was it just, man, this is what I expected it would be like?
I think it was everything I expected, bro. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was, and it's cool listening to, like I said, some of the podcasts, Kiwi guys you've talked to. And like I said, I love what you're doing because it just resonates, and I wanted to come on because it's funny and we get to share our story. Yeah, it was exactly the same, bro. It was hard for me. I lost I lost all the skin on my hands during the dunes, bro. You know, I'm only 5'7", and you know, it was hard. Yeah, it was hard, and I was fit. Again, it was hard. You know, I found funny at the end, bro, because nobody talks about the 60K.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had plenty of mates that had done selection and passed.
Yeah.
And they all like the dunes, bro, and this, bro, and that, bro. Nobody had ever talked about the 60K, and that was hard, bro. Yeah. That was hard, you know.
It is.
Yeah, people just don't, like, Mids, you know, I cracked up. He's like, you think you're doing 3K and you're doing a K. So it was everything I thought, bro. It was everything I thought, and, you know, as the other guests have talked about, I was just grateful to be there at the end of each day, and that was my goal. Just to be there at the end of each day, bro. You know, next checkpoint, Roger Staff.
Yeah.
Get to there, bro. You know, be there in the morning, and next checkpoint, Roger Staff. And keep going. And yeah, that's how I got through. Yeah, but it was hard, man. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone back if I'd failed. I don't think I would have gone back.
Yeah. Do you remember how many people were on your selection, Pup, and how many of you finished at the end?
Mate, I want to say 42-ish, I think, started.
Yeah.
And we finished with, I want to say we finished with 7 or 8. One good guy from second first didn't get accepted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think that's what it was.
Man, that's still, so you had about 7 or 8 finish, and one got not accepted for the further training.
Yes.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. And or not cool for the guy that didn't get accepted. Like that's tragic and it's heartbreaking. I know some really good people, like you mentioned. This guy's obviously a good dude. Yeah. But that can be heart wrenching for guys to get through. Sorry, go.
A few years later, they asked him to come back up when they were getting assorted of people. Yeah. And he said, "Piss off." Yeah. He's still in the army. Still in the army now in Burnham.
Wow.
Yeah, good dude, bro. Yeah,
that's
real
awesome.
Good dude. Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, it's very cool to hear. And then on there, you're going through cycle. And how many of you, sort of jumping forward a little bit before I get you to come back and speak a bit about cycle, because I'm interested to hear your take and thoughts on the overall, what cycle was like for you. Were you guys still doubling everywhere and all that sort of stuff? Well, no, you would have been still doubling everywhere. The cycle coming onto, or for you anyway, what was that? Yeah, I guess we'll jump into that now. What was that like? What was cycle like for you, bro?
It was a dream, mate. And, you know, I'd said as a child I wanted to do this, and all the pictures, and, you know, I was probably infatuated with being a good soldier. Yeah. And Mids talked about it, was everything I'd dreamed of. Like, I was disappointed with the army because I thought my own assumptions that you'd be doing all this stuff and all that. And we did to a point, but not to the level I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to jump out of planes and shoot guns and have more bullets than I needed. And that was cycle. You know what it's like, bro. Yeah. That was cycle. Was, you know, everything was there. Helicopters were there. You know, the helicopters would be here in the morning. Like when I was in Recce, bro, helicopters would be here and they don't turn up. You know, so those things, yeah.
The Unimog shows up.
Bro. Yeah, you know. Hey, we're going to do fast roping. Oh, you know, rappelling, sorry. And we'll just go off the tower. Yeah. So cycle was amazing, bro, because, you know, course after, it was hard again, you know, it's a theme, but, you know, course after course was a challenge. It was, you know, the med course and then SIGs, and then you're just learning all these different skills. And, you know, I just really felt like I was being a soldier, even though it was still training, and I was aware of that, you know, but, yeah, I felt like I was finally soldiering.
Awesome.
And you know, to a level.
Oh, sorry, go. Yeah.
No, just to a level of, you know what it's like, that level of performance where you are tested every day. Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. And how many of you, so from the 7 or 8 that are on cycle, because it's a small, did you do that, was your selection earlier in the year, or was it near the end of the year and pretty much a short break and then the following year you're into the cycle?
November. Yeah, selection November. Yeah, Christmas off and trying to recover. Like, I had no skin on my feet, no skin on my hands, bro. I just spent that time. Didn't run, didn't do anything.
Trying to recover, eh?
Yeah, coming into cycle was hard because I was unfit, because it just took me that long to recover. You know, so...
I know what that's like.
Yeah, but for cycle... for cycle we had John McNutt had joined us because he had done your selection. He was on our cycle, and then we had the 3 guys you and I have previously talked about come on as well. So we had a decent, I think 10 started cycle. Awesome. And how many of you finished? How many were there at the end for the badging? 6.
6 of yous at the end.
Yeah. And then, unfortunately, John was killed not too long after.
Yeah. That was sad news to hear about that. And I guess this would be cool because I didn't really ask Bill. Bill spoke a bit about his connection to John and how they were good mates and how he had encouraged him and those sorts of things. And I think, Bill still carried a bit of, I guess, some guilt and around, his encouragement to John to come up and join the unit and that sort of thing. But could you speak a little bit about, if it's all right, about what John McNutt was like during cycle? Because my glimpse of him on selection, he was a machine. Like I said, in that 60k, he just cruised past, and I was peed off. But he was a great guy. Even during selection, he was very quiet. He just he would contribute when he felt he needed to in some of the activities and stuff that we were involved in. But that just sort of stuck out to me because I hadn't seen officers like him sort of like that or be like that. He just seemed like one of the guys from my very short time with him. But could you speak a little bit about what he was like during cycle and your time getting to know him? Yeah,
bro, just stepping back. So he was from second first, and when I'd found out he had passed selection, like I was covertly going around talking to whoever I could, bro. Doing awesome. My IPB of the battlefield, just getting my getting my knowledge ready. So I went and John was awesome, bro. Him and I used to hang out every now and then, and he'd tell me what selection was like, and for him, so that gave me a really good insight. Nice. But then on cycle, John was amazing, mate. He was, as a person, he was just so humble. His father was one of the pioneers of the helicopter hunting down south, and but John was he was so strong, bro. He was always there to help. He was an officer, and he was very DS. He was very. You talked about Dale pumping on the dunes. John was very straight, as in there were the rules and they were to be applied by. But he was very easy to coax out of that, like John Houti's wins. But in the gym, bro. Like we used to go to the gym together, or be at the gym at the same time. He was just a machine and an amazing person. And when we did the CT course and would have to do the run back from the range back to, because we camped at Hobby, bro. We were we camped at PAP. We were living in the old headquarters before it got all renewed. So we were at Hobby for cycle, and we'd have to run back from the range every day with a guy that I'm sure you know. Prided himself on being a run, but he couldn't beat John. He could beat the rest of us, bro, but he couldn't beat John. It used to piss him off.
I bet, I can imagine.
Yeah. And as I said to you on the phone, bro, like, during the fighting course, the CQB course, and, John was my name. He's a Golden Gloves boxer, bro, and, every time I got in the ring, I'd just lay down because I get knocked out every time. A few times he did knock me out and just lay looking at stars, bro. So, But the funny side of John, like, it was hard to drag John out on the piss, bro. It was like, come on, John, we're going to town. And, we had a good cycle. We'll all stay together and go out and do that stuff like yours did, like all cycles do, I guess. But, like we'd be in town, bro, in the middle of the city, and we would have a sober driver. And then all of a sudden, bro, it'd be like 11 o'clock at night, and you'd be like, fuck, where's John? Everybody's like, has he scored or what? And then many a time, bro, like you go back to the parking building where the car is and John's asleep under the car.
Is that right?
Yeah, like, oh, come on, bro, we'll all head back to camp. And that was John, a couple of drinks and he'd be happy. And very
ready
driven.
For a nap.
Yeah, bro.
Very driven guy, bro.
Very driven guy, but so nice, so humble. So, and it was sad for our cycle, as in, a lot of cycles, they get the officer or officers, whatever they have, to go on and they become the CO. And you have that cool connection being in the unit, and your mate's the CO, and you got that connection. We didn't get that, because John passed away, so we didn't get to have somebody as a CO that was of our cycle that we could really have that connection to. And
certainly taken too soon.
Yeah.
Man, what a great guy, and thank you for sharing those memories and those lived experiences about him. Like I said, that just confirms sort of my impression of him on selection. What a wonderful man he is. So thank you for sharing that, Pup. Really appreciate it. Welcome. Any standouts for you on your cycle in terms of? It's funny you mentioned, but whether it be courses or whether it be character traits of staff, and you don't have to name them, but was there anything that stuck out to you that, you know, that had just really etched in your mind? I think I remember there's one, and because you've already mentioned, I remember he would just randomly yell at times. Like, we would be sitting in the mess. I remember we're having dinner, we're at Papakura, we had just finished some shooting, and he'd come bursting in through the door and be like, "It's all right, I'm here." And we're like, and then he'd just carry on like nothing's happened, and just carry on and do whatever it is he needed to do, or get him some food.
Yeah.
But I'd be sitting there looking at some of the other guys and look at them and go, "Bro, is that fella, like, is he all right? Like, is there something that I'm missing here?" But just as a young, immature, not sure of what was going on, but man, he just had he's one of those, I guess for me, real polarizing character that I remember from cycle very, very well. And he was, I remember a lot of the runs, he smashed us on the runs and things like that. But it's interesting, as you mentioned, that he never beat John. So I could imagine that would have really...
Hoha, bro.
Yeah.
He used to be Hoha at the end of these runs. Yeah. We used to love it as a cycle, bro. It's like, staff, can't beat him. Yeah.
So what about for you on cycle? Anything that sort of stands out that's stuck in your head from your time in cycle?
Yeah, lots, bros. Like,
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, because the boys, when I did cycle, most of the unit had deployed to Timor.
Right.
So, you know, I think one squadron was training up to go, and boys were already over there.
Yeah.
So we pretty much, for the whole cycle, bro, depending on the spec courses, you probably remember.
Yeah. Oh, that's another scary character.
But so different.
Yeah,
you know, quiet and sneak up on you versus loud and coming to get you. You know, we had those two for pretty much all a cycle.
Yeah, right.
So, bro, it was it was interesting to other cycles where you see the instructors rotate out. You know, training wing's big, but because of the operations, you know, it was just them two. So, yeah, we dealt with those people day in, day out, and bro, long, slow runs, man, you know, 20k, here it goes, boys. Yeah, no, the CT course, we would, because like I said, we're living in Papakura, camping in the old headquarters on stretchers, come and get us up, mate, 2 a.m, and get into the BTF, bro, and he'd gas us. You'd be in there in your undies, bro, shorts, whatever, and you'd be in there sucking on the CS gas, bro. You know, whatever regimental number. If we hadn't been good that day, or deemed to be good, get in that chamber, bro. You know what it sounds like, eh? That thing bounces across the floor. Yeah.
And then give the spiel and then try to run your way out.
Get back to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, and off you go.
Hard case.
Yeah, so that was another funny one. We're doing the CT course, bro, and we were rappelling in the city. And I don't know what happened, but we're all stacked up, you know, getting ready to go, abseiling down through a window and whatever. We're there for ages for some reason. Somebody hadn't made a decision, and we all started slipping. We just all slowly go past the window, bro. And as you remember, was running that course, bro, and yeah, that was another one that was funny. Keystone Cops, we got beasted, you know, for that, bro. It was just funny at the time, but not funny to the staff.
100% not funny to the staff. And the staff that you mentioned there played a key role. They must have still been there after my cycle, because the names that you've just mentioned had a significant role to play. And I remember that was a comment that got used, that we looked like Keystone Cops. I remember that getting thrown around by the staff a number of times during the CT phase. But it just also, it highlights, I guess, the human aspect of the operators within that unit, like guys like yourself and other guys that have gone before, and guys that are coming through after. Like, I was interviewing one of the Aussie Regiment guys, Daniel Cooper, great guy, who spoke about, these guys are just normal people. And just very driven though, and there is something unique and different about you guys, and the stuff that drives you to do what you do, and to be, some might call pedantic, some might, you know, see certain things as odd behavior, but man, there is something about those core group of people. But what I loved about what you're just describing is not only were they very skilled, but also just really good people and had I guess a warped sense of humour for a number of things. So it's nice. Yeah, sorry, go.
No, all good, bro. Yeah, I was lucky on cycle that a couple. The guy who sent me the nom, he would said, and some others that I'd known from both 1 Battalion and 2nd First, we were all in either recce together or the companies back in the day, and they were good to me, bro. Like on cycle, we were doing I think it was the abseiling course or whatever, where you're on the tower and fast roping and all that, and they were mountain troop guys who were running it.
Right.
And I knew a lot of those guys, and they'd call me over and go, Johnson, come here. And I'd go running over, and they'd have their beret in their pocket. Yeah. Badge up, bro. Hey, boy, you want one of these, eh? Mates, it's like... Not because I was on cycle, I knew they weren't mates, but they were mates, and like, Roger Staff, I do want one of those. Yeah. Like a piss off, boy. Run off. Yeah, I was lucky in that sense that, some good guys. And they had the humility too to know that I was on cycle and I knew I was on cycle. Yeah. But they weren't, they were humble. They were, we were mates back in the past and we still were mates just because I was on cycle. So they showed me an understanding, which was good for me. It was motivating. Like, yes, Staff, I do want that, but knowing that I'll see you on Friday, bro, or Saturday.
And that's great. I love that you... Could you speak a bit more about that? Because there is this, I didn't know, I didn't have any friends that were already badged operators in the unit. I knew who some of the people were just because of my interactions with some of them through, the Lone Pine and the inter-battalion sort of competitions and stuff. So there was one or two people that I knew of, and probably one in particular that I knew more. So he was more 2nd First Battalion, and his father served in the unit as well. You would know him well. And so I knew who he was, but there's this, I guess, I don't know whether it's unspoken or what, or you just know, but even when you've got friends, either whether they're on selection or on cycle, like there's this, there's not a lot of communication, right, that happens in terms of how you were when you were at battalion. You're good mates, like you were saying, and you've got good mates there, but there's a line that you can't cross because you're not part of that group or that unit yet. Could you speak a little bit about that and what that was like? Did you ever catch up with your mates back in the barracks after, like the badged operators, or was that line still there and still present the whole time until such time as you crossed that threshold, so to speak, and received your own beret?
I think the line was there, but at times it was crossed, because we were good friends. It was true friendship. It wasn't, and it was transcended in the cycle, and I was still working hard to prove that I deserved to be there. I didn't ride on, for me personally, I didn't go, oh, my mates are there, I'm already in. So, it's never an illusion I was under. But, there's times I went to parties with the boys, away from the unit, but that they were going to. Yeah. And every now and then they'd talk to me in the mess, if senior people weren't around, or because there were the certain, the people, bro. Yeah. Even when I was in the unit and I had mates come up and do selection or on cycle, and I'd go and talk to them, and I'd have seniors come over and say, hey, boy, you don't do that. Until I got a bit, until I got a bit senior and I got to the point where I'll do whatever I need to do. If I can offer that person some advice, like I think, and the unit went through a mentality change too of, hey, let's, and if I could jump in now and tell a story, I don't remember if you remember Bill Moffat.
Yeah, I do actually,
so Bill, Bill passed away, obviously Moo's dad. Bill passed away last year, and but Bill was living in Papakura, running the range, and he lived up above the target shed. But Bill was awesome, bro. And when we were on cycle, Bill would come up to us and go, boys, it was different in my day. We wanted people to get through. And he was awesome for our cycle, bro. And I really had a good connection with him, and all of us did. He'd come and eat with us and tell us stories about Vietnam. And, he was just, such an awesome person. So, that him saying that it used to be different and then how we went through, and I'm not saying it was right or wrong, it was what needed to happen. But so back to your question, bro, the line got crossed, and I was never arrogant that they were my friends and I thought I was in. But they were mates, and I enjoyed that time of catching up with them, and they offered me advice, and learnings and hey, do this with your
Nice.
kit, or do that, or try this, or you're doing okay, or you're not doing okay. It was good. Yeah, because they were mates, and it was bigger than the what we were doing.
Yeah,
Which I'm grateful for, bro. I'm extremely grateful to all those people that did that for me, because I know and I've seen, as you have, it cannot be like that.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are, for whatever reason, incredibly arrogant.
Yeah. That's brilliant, mate. Thanks for sharing that, and because I'm always interested, again, probably somewhat from my own side, because I didn't have any close friends. I didn't know anybody in the unit, so all my perception was that they weren't allowed to speak to their friends, because I know some of the guys on my cycle knew a number of, probably I would say fairly senior operators in the unit by then, but even they then, couldn't openly speak or communicate with them at all, especially when some of the older heads are around as well, or more experienced heads. So yeah, no, that's cool. That's great to hear, and it's brilliant to hear that, like you mentioned, the friendship transcended that, and you just found opportunities to be able to still interact and maintain that friendship. So thanks for speaking about that, Pup. Actually, that's one thing. Can you give us the story about how you got the nickname Pup?
Yeah, so
Because you're pretty much referred to by that from everybody that knows you, right? Even was it former Governor General Mataparai?
yeah,
my Mataparai calls you Pup.
yeah.
Or
Well,
has
funny.
called you Pup.
My mum's ex-partner got a one of those awards where you go to Government House and get an award, and my mother was there with him, and my mother said to Jerry, knowing that I'd met him, and goes, "Oh, my son was in the army," and Mataparai goes, there's 1 million people in the army. Oh, what was your son's name? Just be nice.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, Gregg Johnson." Goes, "Oh, Pup." I know, Pup. Yeah. So, going back when I joined TF, 91, and then I did my first, when they did those annual camps. 2 weeks you had to do every year full time, and we were in Wairau,
Right.
and we had a platoon sergeant, Craig Peerless. I thought his name was Fearless, bro, for the longest time. Craig Peerless. Big dude, big Māori dude, covered in tats, was a policeman.
Right.
Story I got told is he got kicked out of STG because he had this huge knife that he used to carry on his back, for whatever reason.
Yeah, right.
Breaching, I'm
Breaching.
guessing. I'm guessing. But anyway, I heard the story that one of the senior police people said, "Oh, you need to go and tell that guy to take that knife off the back," and he said, "You go tell him." But yeah, anyway, I'm 17 years old, bro. It's my first thing. I'm a warmonger sort of kid.
Yeah.
And we're on this exercise, and all these tasks were coming up, and like to go out and find the enemy and all that. TF, bro, didn't really know the rules. And then I'd volunteer for everything. And he said to me, "Jesus, boy, you're just he was reading the book, The Dogs of War."
Yeah, right.
And he said to me, "Boy, you're a bloody dog of war." And I was like, "It's awesome." And he goes, "How old are you?" I said, "I was 17, staff." He goes, "Or Sarge." He goes, "Yeah, you're just a pup." And that was it.
Stuck ever since.
Yeah. Like there's still people in the army now, I'm sure, who don't know me as anything but Pup.
But Pup.
I still have COs that come and call me Pup, and so it's
That's cool.
Yeah.
So thanks to Craig Peerless then, who's given you that name, and it's stuck.
Yeah, and he was another in the journey of doing selection. He had done selection,
Right.
and he had passed and not been accepted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, as a policeman or as TF.
Wow.
So he told me stories. I was just gathering snippets of people who had done selection, and as Mid said, they were those awesome people that I aspired to be like.
Brilliant, mate. Awesome.
Yeah.
And in your time, we're going to fast forward a little bit. So during your first year within the unit, so the badging happens. There's 6 of you complete, receive your beret.
Yep.
And then you get deployed to one of the squadrons. And in your first year, you spoke about you were lucky enough to get the advanced med course, which is a fantastic course, and close protection. And then you deployed, in 2002 for a 7-month tour to Afghanistan. So was that your first operational deployment then? That one?
Sort of, bro. Lucky because I had got those 2 courses done in that first year. There was a Major General Dunn was going over to visit the guys who went on the first rotation, the A squadron guys, and they needed a close protection team. So I got to go over, bro, for 3 weeks pre my deployment.
Gotcha.
to be on this close protection team for him.
Yeah.
So that was cool. To go over there in 3 weeks and tour the whole country.
Wow.
And the guys down in Kandahar. And then I come home, and then I think a month later, we deployed on my first operational tour. Yeah.
Gotcha. And did you know? So can you take us through or talk us through a bit about what that was like? So did you know, like going on that 3 week close protection detail? Did you know that you were going to come back and then you would be part of the next lot to be getting ready to go over?
Yeah. Okay. So obviously we only had A and B then, and so we knew who was on the next one, and we were also on a fact-finding mission for the rest of the guys.
Gotcha.
So we went over and we knew where we were going. So we were taking a lot of notes when we caught up with the guys, and what kit do you need, and what are you doing, and what are the missions, and so we brought all that back to the rest of the squadron. Yeah.
And how was that? So what was that process like for you, knowing that this is real now? Like all this stuff is going to be happening, the stuff that we've been training for, preparing for, some of your closest friends or brothers, extended family, whatever you want to call them, we're now getting ready to go be boots on the ground and do what we've been training to do. What can you describe and talk us through what that was like for you, the feelings, and any, I guess, preparation, whether that be personal or probably predominantly personally, that you went through to get yourself right before heading over?
I think like every operator, bro, you, all the others, that excitement at finally getting to do the test. Finally getting to, people ask me what the military's like and all of that, and I say it's, you can study. That's all we're doing on exercise, study, learning, practicing, the theory. That's the test. So it was just excitement, bro. Just excitement that I was getting to go and do the test. And I always said that if I was going to go in operations, it was going to be with this unit. Yeah. It was now here. And I was excited. I was a young fellow. I was 27 years old, 26 years old. But I was the young guy, I was the, or our cycle obviously was the youngest.
Yeah.
We were the young fellas. But yeah, boyish excitement, mate, to be on operations and this coalition, where we lived in Kandahar. We had the SEALs, we had the Norwegians, Germans, US, ODAs, Aussies, before they left to go up north. But we had all those people, bro, and it was a dream for me. That's what I joined for. This is the people I'm living with. And yeah, it was amazing to be doing missions, but then socializing with all those different units. Awesome parties, and I've got a cool story I could tell.
Feel free, as long as it's not going to compromise anybody or.
No, yeah. So we were there, bro, on this thing, and the Norwegians had a national day, and they'd got it cooked up on a spit. But anyway, we were heading out on a mission. So we went out, I think we were away 2-3 weeks, but we come back. But they'd carved or made these beautiful... So the Norwegians had two units there, their Army, Special Forces and their Navy, and they had a joint task force there together. Right. But for this National Day, they'd carved these beautiful, big, huge cap badges and coloured them all in, and it was beautiful, bro. They were huge. So another guy you might know went to the UK, but... him and I, mischief. So
he is another blinking machine. But anyway, sorry, carry on. So him and I decided that'd be cool if we had them. That'd be cool to take home to New Zealand for our bar. So one night, I'm just going to jump in quickly. This is where that saying comes from. Even when I was in Australia, if it's not nailed down, the Kiwis are going to take it.
I got another story. So I get up at 2 a.m, bro, put on our boogie masks, ninja over to this another Special Forces compound, got our screw. We've already done our recce, bro, knew exactly what tools we needed, ladder, where their ladder was, so we could climb up to get these because they'd mounted them up on their accommodation. Go in, bro. We rehearsed, bro. We'd rehearsed, knew who was going to do what. Get in there, bro, up, screwdrivers, stuff out, down. Anyway, so, bro, we get these back, hide them in our Q store back in our little area. First thing in the morning, bro, up straight over there, because that's what we used to do when we weren't on ops or on a job. We'd go over and have coffee with these guys, become good friends to this
So you
day.
didn't want to disrupt the pattern or the
Oh, hell
the
no,
routine.
bro. But it gets better. So we go over, bro, and cruise in like we normally would. Coffee, bro, 9 in the morning. They had good coffee, those guys. Kiwis, we had nothing. We used to go and get things from everybody else. So we cruise over, bro, and they're all out looking. And me and like, hey, what's up, fellas? So, some bloody wankers have stolen our things. We're like, what? They're like, it was you fellas, eh? Me and Birdie like, would we turn up? Would we turn up now, bro, if we had stolen them? And they're like, oh, you sure? We said, no, hey, hand on heart, truth to brothers, we wouldn't do that. And me and Birdie are like, hey, we're trackers. Do you want us, because it's sand, obviously, we're like, do you want us to track? Oh, so we start tracking these fellas over to the Navy SEAL camp. So Birdie and I doing our best tracking, bro. Hey, here's things. And these Norwegians are like, we're known as trackers, and Birdie and I weren't actually trackers, but, they didn't know that. Kiwis are the trackers. And we tracked it over, bro, and laid the finger on the Navy SEALs. And anyway, they never found these badges. Fast forward a couple of years, and the Norwegian-New Zealand relationship had become really good, and those guys had come over to do some training. Walk in the bar, bro.
And that's what they see.
These are guys from that trip that are now come over to do a mountain course here in New Zealand. Like, you mother... I won't swear, but they're like, you buggers, here are these things up on our bar. Probably still there today.
Yeah, that's
still there today. Yep.
Did you just get a photo underneath them with the Norwegians there and go pointing?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah. They were like, man, because we laid it on, bro. We laid it on. Yeah, laid it on thick.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, that's hard.
And another one, same time, like you said, if it wasn't nailed down, the SEALs had this awesome air-conditioned tent. And obviously we didn't, bro. We didn't have anything. So we thought, the contingent, we thought, hey, that tent would be awesome here.
What size was that one?
Huge
it can't
one.
Have been like one of the big 20 by 40 blanket.
Yeah.
Not a...
one of those ones that had the green on the outside, but that rubbery stuff.
Yeah,
had the air conditioned unit hooked up, big proper one. So all of us decide that would be good, and we'll make it a movie tent. So when we're back from jobs, we got somewhere to chill out, and the supporters would have somewhere awesome. And so, bro, we clipboard, grab one of the vehicles, head over. One of the boys did the talking, went over, and we knew they were out on a job. So we knew no one was around but their support staff. Rolled up with the paperwork, bro. Hey, and we're all there ready to help. Packed it up on the truck, back to our camp, bro.
And set it all up.
And
Who
it
did
stayed
the
there.
paperwork?
I don't know, somebody would have just written it up. Yeah, had a clipboard, everything, bro, legit.
And their support staff just looked at it and said, okay, and just... You guys just got into it, packed it up.
Yeah, well, we had somebody with rank, because, like one day we went to borrow a shovel off some American guys, and it was like, man, you have to ask my corporal. Go over to the corporal, hey, bro, can we borrow your shovel? Just need to dig a little hole here. And he's like, no, bro, you need to ask my sergeant. Just want to use it, man, it's taking me a minute. Yeah, I just want to clear this. Yeah, so that's what they were like. So this guy was like, oh, okay, you sure? Yeah, you got the thing, you need to sign here. We're already packing it up, bro, the rest of us. On the truck and out
that
of
is how who dares wins, man.
Yeah, our history, it's go back to LRDG and all of that, and that's what we did.
This is exactly why the guys, I guess, never trusted me if things went missing. Right. They were like, "Nah, Joe took it." Yeah. I was like, "No, I did it."
Well, I've seen those green trunks on your fitness things. I got 3 of them too, bro. Meant to hand them back.
Actually, good point.
The reason.
There are some valid reasons.
There's a reason. Yeah. But we made the most of it. Yeah, we made the most of.
Sounds like it.
If it wasn't tied down, we were bartering, bro. Like people loved our hoochies. We were getting those, Garmin E-Tricks when they first come out. We were swapping those for hoochies.
For hoochies.
Yeah, doing deals left, right, and centre, mate. Yeah, was Kiwis. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
mate. Thanks a lot for sharing those, and this
Welcome.
Is great. Like any more of those types of stories as we go through, please feel free to share them. Those are great, and man, it's so good to have a good belly laugh with somebody like yourself and those that have got these cool experiences and are able to share them in the way that you have. I want to move into something now. So I appreciate you sending me some information based on my questions to you offline. And this was something that caught me by surprise, but I also wanted to ask you about it. So after you decided, you chose to go and do the 22 SAS selection course, and but you put on there you chose to voluntarily withdraw from the course. Would you mind speaking off the 22 one? Would you mind speaking about how that came about first, the desire to want to go to 22, and then the why you chose to pull off. So first, why you wanted to go to 22, because I know a lot of Kiwis do go there, and a lot of them are over there at the moment, and that was a big driver for me, seeing and knowing of some people that had gone there. And I thought, wow, you can do that. That was sort of a catalyst for me, but also the fact that I did something stupid also sort of accelerated that process. But where did your drive to want to go to 22 come from, and why did you decide to withdraw from that selection?
Driver, as we know, I was in the New Zealand SAS, and I was a young guy, and I'd been on my first operation and been exposed to, like, back then where all our infills were by 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Those helicopters, and we had drone support. We had AC-130 support. Every mission was real. I think we had something like 48 channels in our radios. All active channels, bro. That you could use. Obviously weren't using, but CSAR and Alt CSAR and this channel and that channel, and meeting all those other units. In a side note, we were lucky enough, we were doing a vehicle patrol, and we got a radio call one day saying, hey, you need to go outside the AO and helicopters coming in. And we're like, what the hell? It's not resup, it's not, resup's not for another week. We've got all these. Anyway, so we, headquarters says that, bro. Off you go, 8 vehicles. We trundle off to secure this HLZ, and in flies this helicopter, and out drives a Humvee with Delta guys on it.
Right.
So they heard what we were doing in the mobility space, and they wanted to come out and spend some time with us to learn. So they come out with us for 8 days, bro. And so just talking to those guys, and they were next level, bro. They were next level assets. They had an example, like we had to go and what those patrols are like, bro. We were sent off to check this out and check that out, and we'd been sent to find this cache that they reckon there was in this mountains, and we found this cache. So we go to this place and we're looking around, and we go in and do the old Shura in town, or some of the leadership went in and did the Shura, come back out and said, oh no, there's no stuff like that around here. So these Delta guys, bro, they just called in fast air. They had 2 jets just coming fucking low level afterburners across this town.
Yeah, right.
And then next minute out comes the old head villager, and there is. we'll take you to it. So that was these guys were next level, bro. And me being infatuated with other SF units. Me and Birdie actually spent a lot of time with these guys talking, and just being groupies pretty much to these guys. Just wanting to learn, how do you do stuff, and why do you do stuff, and to be better, obviously, and learned a heap from them, and actually had a dream of going to Delta.
Right.
So this is all leading into just this exposure to all these high level assets, bro.
Yeah.
And then come home to New Zealand, and just the reality of it's not like that here. Like we'd do an exercise and we'd have one of those little air trainers as our AWACS, as our ISR platform. So for me, coming back from having drones and amazing helicopters and gunships and
support,
it was real to the next level. And my pursuit of excellence, 22 was the avenue that everybody said, you can't go to Delta, which we probably could have, but we didn't try hard enough to investigate that. I'd had a guy had come back, and quite a few other Kiwis had gone. So there was a pathway over there, and I chose to go on that pathway with 4 other guys, and went over there. But for me,
because that's a big call. Like going through, you've gone through the NZ one. You've gone through that, as hard and as challenging as it is, and you've made the decision. Then your boots on the ground over there. in amongst on the selection course, it's a huge call. So that I appreciate, again, your honesty just really comes through in terms of what you've spoken about, either prior to leading up to the New Zealand one, now going on this one, and to put that down there. There's not a lot of people that are wanting to talk about the failings and the mistakes, which is part of the reason that I found value in listening to other people's messages and stuff around what it is that they've done and things that they maybe regret. There's a whole bunch of things that I regret, but things that they maybe failed at and things that they're doing now. Like, it doesn't define who we are, right? So I love that you've added this in there, and just really keen to hear your thoughts around why you chose to withdraw from the selection, and at what stage, like how far into it, sort of thing.
I think we're a couple of days out from test week.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and I
like
chose
the pre-selection phase.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
Yep.
I think it was. It's a month long, I think.
Yep.
And you do 3 weeks and then a week of testing.
Gotcha.
Over there. It was just hard, bro. I've got no other thing. It was hard, and I chose to withdraw.
Yeah.
It didn't take me long to make that decision. I've worked a lot on regret and understanding regret, and I don't have any regrets in my life because I've worked on that. And I took the lessons it offered me. I took
Awesome.
the lessons that offered me, bro. And but yeah, it was, the day was, what the UK can be like. We're out on I think we're in the Brecons, bro. Couldn't see a hand in front of me. It was winter. I just had to get to this checkpoint, bro, and I was like, oh my god, it's so I finally got there, and I was like, yeah, staff, that's me, I'm done. He said, okay, you turn around and walk all the way back to the truck. So, which was that leg just in reverse. All good. It was just hard for me, bro. And at the time, I just pulled out because I wasn't driven for that goal. Every other goal I've achieved that I have thing. And my reflection on that was, I just wasn't driven at the time to achieve that. Rightfully so.
Awesome. I love how you mentioned that, just weren't driven at that time. Like Mids was talked about with his one, he wasn't ready. It couldn't be that we weren't ready, that we weren't driven, could be any number of things. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I think just for me hearing that, and I'm sure anybody else that's either currently in the army or aspiring or looking to join a unit like that, that's going to be really helpful for them. Like, it's really helpful for me. You can take that and go, oh, right, cool. So I know I need to be driven. What do I need to do to prepare? I loved how you were speaking to all these people and gathering that intel, helping you prepare as well as you could, and fulfilling your word on what you said you were going to do right from a young fella where you wanted to be. So you've achieved a heck of a lot, and that was just one part. So I appreciate you speaking about that. Okay. And that then led to you moving into the private sector, and you worked with some pretty cool companies, Control Risk Group and Triple Canopy, and you did 3 to 4 years thereabouts on the circuit. And I would love it if you could speak about what you saw or what you learnt during your time with both of those, very well-known companies, CRG and Triple Canopy. What did you discover? What did you learn about yourself and or the types of work that you were then doing as a private security operator?
Well, CRG was experience, bro, as you know. Like, a mate of mine turned up there when it first kicked off, and he got a Makarov pistol and a pocket full of rounds and an MP5 that you couldn't see down the barrel because it was so bent. But when I got there, it was a little bit better. And luckily I had a Kiwi, ex-Kiwi unit guy, Jeff Witchman was my team leader.
Right.
We had an Irish infantry guy who was our 2IC, and Poe and I was the other two. But that was very eye-opening, bro. Like, we were, the missions you were doing over there, and we were in Basra at the time, and driving up to all of these places, just 2 vehicles, mate, with 3 quants in the back of each vehicle. Like, how do you cross-load that? So it was really interesting for me that we're doing this, and it was a risk. Every time you went out on the road was a risk that something was going to happen, and we just didn't have the Brits, just didn't have the support. So I was then, Poe and I were taken over to so at the time, it was still the coalition running the place, and we were put onto the governor's counter-assault team. but we didn't last long. Both of us didn't last long there because we were running the training, and it got a bit real for some of them. And we got the kibosh back to a team.
Yeah, right.
So in the interim, so it was an interesting experience just working with the Brits and how they operated on a budget and shoestring. But we were sent up to Aotearoa, and we were doing 2-week rotations, staying up there and just looking after people in Aotearoa. And during the time we were there was when Barry Johnson got his VC, when the Māori Army had that huge thing, and we were locked down for 2 weeks, bro, getting mortared and rocketed every day, and RPGs at the front gate, and the snipers on the roof. We're having a field day. There's a book written about it by a British sniper. But we were there with Triple Canopy. We're running the site security.
Right.
So we become good friends with the guys there. Anyway, got to a point where they were like, "Hey, come and do our course. Do you want to work for us? We'll give you the in." So that was cool. So I had to go to America and do a course.
Yeah.
And that was real, bro. That was went over and it was like the close protection course. But it was all run by Delta guys, ex-Delta guys, and still active Delta guys that were on leave.
Gotcha.
So that was an awesome experience. And then, when I finally got to Triple Canopy, all my leadership were ex-Delta guys from Black Hawk Down.
Wow.
So they were real, and they were amazing people. And that was, I got to put my skills into practice every day. Like I said, I did 3 years there, 4 months on, a month off.
Yeah.
But I was with these amazing people. When I first started, it was only Tier 1 and Green Beret guys.
Yep.
That fell away as you know what it was like. The contract started changing, and Blackwater flooded the market.
Yeah.
We're now getting $3 a day versus, that's when I chose to leave. But with these teams, bro, were just amazing people, and I ended up on a team with 2 guys I'd met in Afghanistan and Asadabad, who were on an ODA up there. We're all on the same... So, bro, it was just all these people that come together, and was amazing. Yeah, just such a cool time, and the lessons I learned and the things I got to do, and the exposure there because of who they were, their connections, the ins that gave me to go and meet other people and train at these different places. Amazing. Yeah, it's just real. Every day was real, bro. Like, and you've been there, but we'd be out on the. I first with TC. I first went to Bakuba, and then I went to Baghdad, and we'd be out on that 4th of July parade ground thing, just practicing wheel changes, mate, like a Formula One team, and we had pneumatic drills, and the company just got us what we needed, and bro, like we could change a tire in 50 seconds, and just driven group of guys like to get up and, hey, no, we're not doing it. Friday was the day off, so that would be our training day. We'd get up early and train all day. How to cross load, how to do this, how to do med, how to shoot. Was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was real. Yeah, real. Every day was real. And then I slowly got to be a team leader of a 40-man detail, and just to lead some amazing people and have the support. No egos, had a job to do, had to get client from A to B in a bad place. Everybody was on their game, it was amazing.
Brilliant, mate. Good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. So those are 2 very well-known companies, and they had very good reputations. They had some reputations for not so good things, like some of the kit in the earlier days, but also as things progressed and as things evolved, and as more and more people got in there with the skills like what you and Poe and many others have and have had, those companies are definitely well known in terms of what their capability was and the caliber of people working there. So thank you for touching on that and speaking a bit about that, Pup. I'm going to come back to, so you've done that for a few years, and then where you then return, you come back to the NZDF and to the unit in particular, back to, was it still one NZSAS group at the time, or was it the regiment by then?
No, the group. It was the group till I left. Yeah.
So you come back to the group in 2007, and you went over to, so did you go to Swanbourne and Perth to SASR?
Yeah.
So to get your head around all the TTP and stuff there that they're doing for Afghanistan, because the NZ unit or the group was getting ready to head back in 2008. Can you talk us through how that all came about and what happened there?
it was funny, bro. So the rumor was going around that somebody had to go to Aussie, or not had to. You know, there was a trip coming up to Aussie for somebody for 4 months to do this.
Yep.
So I started early, going around telling everybody it was me. Anyway,
That's cool.
Moo was the SSM, and I got called into the office one day and said, "Hey, you're going to Aussie for this." Nailed it. It worked, bro. Yeah, it's got universe.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that when it come up in ops, it said, "Oh, Pup's going on that."
No, is he?
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So slide your name up onto the, TOD Aussie. So yeah, I got called into the SSM's office and got the brief and got the task list of what they wanted me to achieve and got to go over and I was with training wing over there for one of the Aussie cycles just as they went through the urban phase, which we didn't have at the time. We didn't have an urban phase, just CT counter-terrorism and green obviously, and it was awesome. I had some amazing. He was amazing, bro, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was super strong.
There's a few of those fellas.
He was a corporal in the training wing at the time, real good shooter.
Yeah.
I had amazing experience over there and caught up with the likes of and some of the other boys that had just gone over. When I turned up, there was no accommodation for me, so lucky picked me up at the airport and I stayed at his place. Top man, yeah, his place down on the beach for a couple of days. So I was like, man, this is it. I've nailed it.
Living the dream now. It's a beautiful place. Hey, had you been there before then?
No, first time. But yeah, had an amazing experience and just obviously dug deep into the knowledge and how they were doing things and their lessons learnt and it was amazing. And got actually called back early because things were ramping up at home. Yeah, okay. So I think I come back after 3 months.
Gotcha.
And to implement it into the PDT for our first rotation back.
Yeah, and that's a good point actually. So just onto that, so you were leading the PDT.
Parts of it, just the training aspect of what I brought back. Yeah,
brought back from Oz.
Yeah, just all the urban training side.
Awesome. Yeah, and then selected. So then you were on the first rotation back. You were down as a patrol commander. Yeah.
Luckily, which was awesome. Was a chance to lead, and that first patrol I had was amazing, but I was just an awesome group of guys, and as you know, was one of them, and a few others. We had a reunion last year that organised. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was just probably one of the best trips I've ever been on.
Brilliant. I'm going to I'd like you to speak a bit about that within the context of what you can. I've got some questions there, but I just want to let you in on a secret now that now that names come up. Yeah. I mentioned it to you at the start, but I thought I'd save it for here. I actually tried to call this morning. Yeah. Because I want to try to get some dirt on you, like funny stuff. But he didn't answer his phone. Didn't he? And I only just thought of it. It was about 10 minutes before we were getting ready to kick off. So I was like, So I left a message. I said, sorry, you're probably not going to get this in time. I said, don't worry about trying to call me back, bro. I'm going to put my phone on D&D or do not disturb and on silent. So I won't get it. But I was just trying to get some dirt on old Pup. From you, some funny stories and stuff like that, but maybe we might flip that during this, because he didn't answer. Might get you to tell a funny story about him. But no, on here, coming back to this and that rotation, you mentioned that was the best trip that you'd been on. Would you mind? Are you able to speak about how and why that is? Because I get asked a fair bit from people, whether it's messages, emails, or conversations. Like people will say, "You guys seem to enjoy that type of work. Like, what is it about that work? Like, what makes it so exciting? Or what was the best trip you've been on?" And so to hear you mention words to that effect about this one was your, one of the best trips or the best trip that you've been on, would you mind just speaking about that? What made that trip so special or unique or great for you, aside from the wonderful people that you're with? Yep. But was there anything else around that particular trip?
I think it was a holistic thing of it, mate. Was one, we were going back into Kabul. We were going to be the soft unit for Kabul, for ISAF, responding to all the things, and we were hunting the enemy. Yep. We were actually out there, like every mission. Bro, the other jobs I'd done was all SA, or whether it be on foot. We did a few DAs. Yep. But when I was in Kandahar in 2002, there was a rotation for who was doing the direct action missions.
Gotcha.
So we'd do 3-week foot patrol. Oh, sorry, maybe a 2-week foot patrol, or OP, and then we'd do some mobility, and then you come up on the roster for DA, and maybe you'd get one DA.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But in Kabul, bro, our job was to hunt people, bad people. So every mission, the planning, the execution was going out there to find somebody. Yeah. We weren't sitting in the hills. We weren't. We had drones to do that now. We weren't. Yeah, it was every mission was real, as in we're going out to arrest somebody or whatever, detain. So that made it. That was one part of it. My team was just amazing. The personalities, the way they wanted to be the best they could be. The leadership, the junior leader, so troop leadership. The guy who was my troop commander is now the current CO, one of the best leaders I've ever had. Our troop staffy, another amazing guy. You probably know. He's probably one of the best people I've ever met in my life, mate. Such a role model. So just all of that together just made it amazing, and we were getting to do things that I used to dream of, and we're now doing them, doing them day in, day out. We're getting to train at some amazing ranges with some amazing people, the different organisations we got to meet and work alongside, party with. Yeah, it was just amazing. But we put a hangi down, and I was there over Christmas, and we put hangis down, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
very good to hear. And I love, people might still not be able to understand. Well, I don't think the general population will, in my opinion or my experience, will probably never grasp what it is that you're saying, but they'll feel what it is that you're saying, and the spirit of that message of what you're speaking about. Having the opportunity to do something that you've dreamed about since being a young lad, going through that process and training, overcoming things, fears, whatever people want to call them, to get to that stage, to then being deployed and applying that stuff of what you've been thinking about doing or wanting to do, and trying to have a positive impact in a situation that isn't looking too good, and that, to be fair, much like a lot of other professions that not too many people are capable of doing, and doing that with some of your best mates and best leaders and all that sort of stuff, and all the support and all the other units that are a part of that is a pretty special thing to go through. All right, so that's awesome, Pup. Great to hear, and good to hear that you put down the hangi. Whose idea was it to put down the hangi around Christmas time?
Somebody's idea. But then I
thought you would have said it was mine.
No, not mine, bro. Digging the hole, bro. Like we did it. We had a volleyball court, so put it in the middle of the volleyball court, bro.
Is that right?
It's all good getting through the sand that we'd brought in, but then you hit the rock, bro. And, the theory's awesome. But, and then
time to put it into practice.
You put a certain amount of food in the ground, bro, and every bugger from every coalition turns up. And in the end you don't get anything. Feed thy neighbour. But just on your point of people not understanding, I've done a lot of work around understanding the warrior mindset. Bro, and it's why were you in the unit? Why was I in the unit? Why were these people, man? Because we're warriors, for a period. You're still doing it today, as am I. We're still warriors in a way, and it's a warrior's path, bro, to do those things. As it's a path to be a sports star, or a path to be a mum or a doctor. We were just chosen to be those warriors. So I understand, because obviously I've got a lot of friends, and now I work in that space of other people, and they don't get it. But I just say to people, we were chosen to be warriors, and that's the way a warrior walks. And that's the things a warrior does, like being an All Black or a Black Ferns or whatever, in a sporting arena, going to the Olympics. It's no different, really.
Beautiful.
No different.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Pup. That's really great comments, and we're going to get to some of the work that you're doing as well. Because sorry, I've left that sort of.
Still,
the
list keeps going.
The list is still going, bro. Sorry, you're stuck with me for
sorry,
a
listeners.
while longer yet.
Sorry, listeners.
No, it's definitely been. I'm really enjoying this, and sorry, there's still a fair bit more to get through, bro. But we will get to what it is that you're doing.
Okay,
but that's a good little teaser for now, anyway.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you is, as well as around, because you've deployed on multiple operations, not only with the Defence Force and your time within the unit, but also the private sector. And what I wanted to ask you about is, would you be able to walk us through and talk for as long as you like, actually, around, just sort of some of the aspects of discovery of yourself that, upon reflection, in your mind occurred, or in your experience occurred during those multiple deployments and operations, if that makes sense?
Yeah, for me, mate, it's probably lots of learnings, like you've had. For me, it was when I left the unit and started contracting. I was still in the unit. I was a junior person, hadn't. I think I'd got to Lance Corporal before I left, but had no real responsibility. And once I started working in Iraq and then went to Triple Canopy, early on, I was offered a leadership position and I turned it down because I had a fear of being good enough. Here were some amazing people, bro, and they were asking me to lead them, and again, I had a fear of that. I didn't think I was good enough, and so it took me a long time to grow the confidence, pretty much like doing selection, to stand up and say, one, internally, and two, externally, that yes, I am good enough to be a leader of these people. And once I got my head around that and understood the support I had, then I got to thrive in that. So and I've heard it a lot of other people say, like, in the unit, bro, like, you never feel you're good enough. And I felt that, I'm just, how am I, these guys are these guys. My God, they've done all these things. And, but got to a point I had to stand up again, like selection, and say, yeah, Roger, I'll do it. Because, what can happen? We'll die, maybe get blown up or something.
Yeah.
But,
die.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't understand the weight of that.
Yeah.
And civilians, I talk in a fair context, but it's a very different mindset, game changer in some ways, and just that. So,
awesome.
Yeah, getting the courage to finally say yes, and then thriving in that position. It was because of the people I had around me and the background and the teachings I'd had from the unit and other experiences. I found it easy. It took me ages to get into it, but once I did, I really enjoyed leadership, and that probably allowed me, when I come back to the unit, when I come back to New Zealand and back into the group, to progress to that leadership position and be a team leader and really thrive in that space.
Nice.
Other lessons, bro, is honesty. My second tour back as a team leader, we had a troop commander that I didn't enjoy working for. Very different to my first tour. My first tour as a patrol commander.
Yeah.
And the leadership group we had there, and we had a troop commander that I didn't enjoy working for, and I just struggled with his, just the way he was as an operator. Yeah. Anyway, the guy who's just finished being the CO of the unit, he's out now, but he was our OC, and we were friends outside of work. And anyway, one day we'd had a performance review, and on ops, just a normal performance review, and he said to me, Pup, you're one of the best patrol commanders I've ever worked with, best leaders I've ever worked with, but when you are when you're not happy with a decision or something, you throw your toys and you're horrible to work with. And I turned around to him and said, it's because I don't like you.
Yeah.
And that was very clear. But my OC afterwards called me into the office, his office, and I trusted this guy implicitly. And this is a lesson I've taken for the rest of my life. I entrusted him as a friend and as a leader. He's another one that's one of the best leaders I've ever worked with. And he just told me the truth, bro, of who I was and how I was. And finally, my ears were open to hear the truth. So I had to take that. It was humbling. It was humbling, but I had the courage to go away and look in the mirror and assess everything he had said to me. And that led to some personal or huge growth for me, and does to this day. just being able to hear his words and the respect he gave it to me, and going, yeah, Roger that. I hear what you're saying, and I need to be better. In that. So who thought that would have come from an operation, but it did. It was hugely eye-opening for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pup. That's and I know there'll be many others, and as we go along, feel free to share any of those other experiences, but I can see and feel the power of however that conversation went with the feedback that you received, and the courage that it takes to have those conversations, but also the courage that it takes in those moments when you're smart enough and when you're capable of being able to receive that and acknowledge it sooner rather than later, like in my case, years later. It's certainly a powerful thing, an enabling thing. So I'm really grateful that you would share just a fraction of that with us, Pup. Thank you, brother.
Welcome. Hey, another one I'd offer is leadership.
Please.
Another lesson I had was leadership. And like I said, I had a dream as a patrol commander, and that group I was with, leadership was easy. The team was amazing. The leadership, my one-up leadership was amazing. Our mission planning with the other team leader that Mids talked about on his losing all the skin on his feet. He was the other team leader. We had a great team holistically, and my individual patrol was amazing. So leadership was easy. My next tour, patrol commander again, different team except for one. I had one same guy, very different experience. And I did a lot of reflecting on how I was as a leader. Was I different? What was causing this? What was, and these are lessons I've taken ahead again, mate, is I was still me, and I was still leading the way I led on that first trip. But the personalities, I had to work a lot harder, bro, to mould these people, not just within the patrol, but within the troop. Like I said, the troop commander I didn't get on with, and just so that environment, bro, was a very different tour, as in having to work with these things. I had to earn my money, and then all that other stuff, having to go and look in the mirror, bro. It was still an amazing trip, but I said there was leadership. So I still have a passion for leadership today, and because that opened my eyes to what the variables look like. Some days are easy and some days are not.
That's so powerful, man. Those are really great points. I can resonate and connect with them on many different levels, because when you're speaking about, might be the same environment, sort of you had one of the same people but different personalities for the most part, and the need to, at least what I've been seeing anyway from other people that I admire and respect, and what I try to apply, the need to oftentimes, if you're the leader, the need for the leader to try to change and adapt to better facilitate that group of people that you're working with, because the dynamics have all of a sudden drastically changed from what they were, and how I communicated with a certain group of people, or the first group of people, or whatever you want to call it, to now this group of people might go down like a lead balloon as opposed to what I was doing the other time. So just a lot of takeaways, and I hope that our audience and listeners, I'm sure they will take away some of these just little snippets. So I just wanted to add a little 2 cents to what you're talking about. Is there anything else? Feel free if there's more, because I know there'd be more, and sorry if I jumped the gun a bit earlier. I love that about the leadership, about the honesty you've spoken about, and that fear of feeling like you weren't good enough, but then needing to stand up and go, well, you know what? Yeah, I am capable of doing this. And there's so many great takeaways in there, just in those 3 things alone. Feel free if there's 1 or 2 more that you wanted to touch on as well.
I'd say, mate, it planted the seed to really understand what living for each day meant. That's that, bro. It was just, and I do, man, I've worked a lot on words and language and communication, and I choose not to use words because the way they are. But it frustrates me when I hear, and I don't mean that, but it frustrates me when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm living," and are you? Your actions are not showing me that you're living. And so I planted the seed. Like, man, we were responding to a lot of suicide attacks, and we were getting exposed to a lot of death, and we went to one attack one day just down the road from where we were based, and an attack on an American, excuse me, an American vehicles as they were leaving the American base, got hit by a IED. Anyway, we raced down there because we were responding, and we get out and move to the scene. It's all pretty much over, but there's people dead and that around, and we come across this young boy, and maybe he was 10 to 12 years old, and my medic, my team medic, went up and started treating him, and we were doing what we could, and other people are there obviously. We go over, and a couple of our guys could speak the language. So I went over to my medic and said, what's happened? He said, he was here with his two brothers. And said, where are your brothers now? We'll make sure you get home. And he only had fragments, he had a little bit of bleeding and fragments all over him, what it looks like. And he said, my two brothers were next to the vehicle when it blew up, and they were turned to mist. He's this young kid, mate. So me, gratefully I don't suffer with PTS. But those little things, bro, we were going to a lot of these things. It just planted the seed in me that's only grown stronger and stronger of how important every day is. Truly important. And gratitude and living for self and others. That was another learning I took from those two, that trip especially, just the exposure to that, and just life. What is life, and the importance of life, and living our best life, and honesty. It all come together. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you can't be honest with others, and if you're not being honest with yourself or others, you're not living. It's just a bullshit facade of what you the narrative you're telling. So that was cool, and it's been cool to reflect on that stuff in my journey post all of that as well.
Beautiful, man 100%. What powerful experiences that you've just shared there, and very very graphic and visual for people that will take the time to listen to this, but also hopefully they can take away some of the key learnings around that, being that honest with yourself, the need to live and actually really live as well as you can, for not just yourself but for others, and continue to serve others in a meaningful way, overcoming that fear and those sorts of things, and taking that feedback and being able to continually strive to progress and move forward from that. It's brilliant, man. I'm really enjoying this time, and appreciate you giving us so much of your time to be able to be
welcome here. It's nice to be able to communicate.
100%. I'm probably going to jump back to a couple of the earlier stories that you mentioned earlier about stuff not being nailed down later on, because I have a couple of other thoughts that come to mind in there. But I'm going to move to this next question. This might be, it probably won't be the last one around, maybe from a more operational perspective, but from the point of the tasks, the multiple jobs that you've been on over the years, the experiences that you've had and the interactions with people, the things that you've seen and things that you've been involved with. How did you cope with, and I want to approach this as well as I can, being in situations where, have you been in any of the situations where sadly members of your team or members within your particular deployment have passed away?
No, I was lucky, mate, that all the trips I've done, nobody got hurt. One guy fell off a wall and hurt his ankle, chasing some enemy. Cool, that was a cool job. No, touch wood, mate. But I will tell the story that, like Dougie Grant.
So I was going to ask you about Dougie. Yeah, so please do.
Yeah, I knew Dougie quite well. I'd known him from one battalion, and he'd left the unit and gone to engineers, and he'd come back, and I spoke to him for a couple of hours the day before he left, or a couple of days before he left. So anyway, when Dougie died, I just remember the funeral, and just crying and crying and crying. We're obviously in uniform at the funeral ceremony. and just that, knowing he was such a good person, and he was a good operator. And Dougie was a bloody good operator. So that, just the emotion I felt within that, and I've known other people that have died in my contracting time, weren't in my team, but I know people that had passed away, and but again, understanding as warriors, that's part of that journey. It is part of it. Doesn't make it easier, but I understand that we are doing what we've been designed to do, and inherent risk comes from doing that stuff. Funny story.
I was going to ask you if you share some stuff about Dougie in particular, sort of similar, I guess, to John McNutt, but sorry, I cut you off.
No, all good. I think it was Dougie on their cycle. This again story I got told. On their cycle, and they're doing combat survival, and the cop had let the dog go after them. And I think it was either Dougie or somebody else, but I got told it was him who'd caught it and tied it up, the dog, because it was off lead. Bro, they caught it and tied it up. But another one, when I'd just been badged and we're still at hobby, Dougie had those big Belgian husky dogs,
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anyway, he was in the housing area. Anyway, one day he comes into barracks, and me and were in the rec room, and he comes in. He's got this plastic bag, and he had brought it in for us to hide. Oh. It's like, hey boys, I need you to. So that was that. And another time we had a house party at his place, and we went around, and he had a climbing rope strung out across his backyard that the dogs run on. They had hooked up to so they could run. Anyway, it was one of we were like, hey Dougie, is it like one of the thing right? Hey, that was a theme with Dougie, was if And another funny story is there's an SSM at the time, and it told Dougie to organise the fast roping. Helicopters are coming on Monday, Wednesday, whatever it was. Make sure the fast roping's all set up, and so Dougie's got all the equipment out, all the rope bags, gloves, and all the stuff that you'd need for that. And and the SSM comes out, and it's like, oh, what time's those helicopters turning up? And Dougie's like, what? What time are those helicopters turning up? I told you to organise the fast roping. Dougie had no idea he had organised the helicopters.
As well, just sort of the ropes and stuff.
SSM's job, bro, or somebody's job. Not a corporal's job to organise these helicopters.
So, was that SSM pulling his leg, or was he serious?
You know what some of them are like, bro. Yeah.
Oh,
Dougie's
man.
like, funny.
That's hard.
But no, he was an amazing guy, and I said back in the day he was an amazing soldier, and another guy that was a privilege to know and to have worked alongside.
And thank you for sharing that. Like I never had the privilege or opportunity or honour to get to know Dougie. He was obviously already in the unit during my cycle and stuff. I'd heard of him, but I knew of some of the guys that flew back. I knew some of the guys by then that flew back from 22 to come be back here for his funeral and stuff like that. And he was always spoken about with just absolute respect for the type of person and man that he was and is. So in the way that he's always been and going to be remembered. So thank you for sharing some of those experiences and memories about Dougie. And it's great that you didn't have that, didn't have to have those moments on the same where we're lost. We were fortunate enough to not lose guys in our team or on our task or on our patrol, apart from maybe a dodgy ankle from one of the guys. So thank you for sharing that. What I want to head into now with you, Pup, is you then from there, so you've been back in the unit for a while, and then you left in 2012, around early 2012, and you headed off to Thailand. So because in amongst that, with your time coming back into the unit, went on multiple deployments and things like that. And I think your last deployment might have been between 2010 and to 2011, and then left in early 2012. And you've headed to Thailand as the Vice President of Operations for an outdoor company. Can you talk us through that and what that was all about, and if you're able to talk about the company or name the company, that'd be great, but just sort of how that came about and what you were doing, what you've been doing there, or what you were doing at that time.
Mate, there was an awesome American guy who worked for Surefire, Michael Maltz,
Right.
who would come to the unit every now and then and just introduce all the new lights and everything. And when I was in R&D, I'd done some work with the new X400 had come out, and I'd spent some time in R&D in the unit, and helped work with them in Safariland to create the first holster. Well, not I didn't, but to help, and we trialled it. New Zealand trialled the first X400 Safariland holster. So I got to know him really well and become friends. And every time he was in New Zealand, everybody would go out in the piss with him, and he'd give out free lights. And but him and I were out together on out having a drink, and he said, "Oh, what's your future plans?" Out of the blue, bro. Said, "Oh, what are your future plans?" And he knew I had a Thai partner. I'd had a Thai girlfriend for 8 years, or we'd been together for 8 years. And I said, "Oh, I haven't a thing." And he said, "Oh, I've got a mate in Thailand. If you want a job, I'll sort it out for you." Just like, "Oh, roger that, bro." So I was getting out. So that was it. So I head off to Thailand. And interviewed for a job with, it's called Tank Store. Was an outdoor. They have 6 outdoor shops.
Yeah, right.
High end outdoor gear from around the world. And the owners. The male owner of the company was a member of the royal family from King number 5.
Wow.
So they have obviously, kings they've had over time. So he was a prince in the royal family of that destiny. And his wife Oak, who ran the company, was amazing people. And so they just brought me on as this title of Vice President of Operations. But what I was doing was, I was doing a good percentage of their research and development on new products. Liaising with companies around the world on things that they wanted to bring in and whether I thought they would suit. I was doing all the staff training because there's not a very big outdoor culture in Thailand, so the staff weren't very au fait with how you'd use a camp chair or a cooker or a tent. So I was taking them into jungle for a week at a time, and we'd go out and I'd just train them, do some leadership stuff, and but also just take all the products. And just use them. So. And
were they products that the company that you were with was making, or that they were importing from other?
Imported, bro. Yeah. So they mostly foreign, high end Cedar Summit lower boots, Mystery Ranch packs. Yeah, all the top level. Yeah. Pimai, who was the owner of the company, he was into good stuff. So top end knives. Camping gear, all the best.
Awesome.
That was cool. And also for him, I was running shooting courses.
Yep.
So on the weekends, I was running rifle, pistol, low light shooting courses for civilians, which was really cool.
Yeah.
It was much like America. You just go to the range and shoot your guns as much as you wanted to. He was also in the. I don't still to this day understand how this system fully works, but they had a counter-terrorist command, and for some reason that command had its own team of a troop of assaulters and a team of snipers, but they also had their own special forces unit that did that. They had the SEALs that did that. They had a police unit. But anyway, so I was doing training for them. So our cadre of instructors for these civvy shooting courses were all these counter-terrorist command guys.
Wow.
So we're just thing, and that led to me doing training for them, and I ran courses, night vision, med, shooting, patrol procedures, courses for them. Yeah.
And how long were you doing that for?
3 years. Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years over there. Yeah. I was there during the military crew, which is interesting. I carried a pistol for 2 years. Yeah. Covert. Yeah, either in a fanny pack or in a covert holster, and it was an interesting experience going to work every day past a coup and people were dying in the street, and it was, again, took all my military learning and all of that. Here I am going to work every day. Yeah, head on a swivel. Yeah, awareness that if something happened, I was going to go down fighting. Yeah. So that was also an interesting time.
Man, I bet.
Yeah.
And so this part here, which I didn't ask you about, So are you still with your partner now? Is it?
No, so I left as soon as I got over there. We broke up.
Oh.
Yeah, hey, par for the course,
Yeah.
So it was interesting,
Okay.
but stayed there obviously in
Because
Thailand.
you had been together for a while, 8 years.
Yeah, eight years. Yeah, but it wasn't meant to
Okay.
be.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, and Thailand, as anyone who's been there knows, it's every day was Friday for me if I wanted it to be. Dealt with a few things there, and drank some beer and did some cool things.
Sounds like it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I won't delve too much into that with you on that there. So thank you for sharing that information. Tank store you mentioned.
Tank store, yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Good people.
Oh, that's good to hear too.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask because there's some other information. You spoke about earlier. Whilst you were with Triple Canopy, you're working with ex-Delta guys who had all been part of or involved in Black Hawk Down. What was that? Because I know that they introduced you to some stuff in around understanding and combat physiology and stuff. I think you mentioned. Would you mind talking us through, I guess, what they were like first? Those guys there that had been involved in Black Hawk Down. What was your take on, their personality, their just the types of people that they are, or that you observed them to be, and how did you start to get introduced, or how did that introduction to combat physiology and all that sort of stuff start to happen? Was that through you asking questions, or through them just openly sharing information and you just taking it in and delving more into it?
Yeah, awesome, bro. It's to me, them as people, they were just real. Like I talked about finding my own honesty and that was important to them and their unit, pure honesty, and to be the best was real. It wasn't, as in units you've been in and I've been in, and a good percentage are being real and some are not. I'm sure I think Bill talked about that from memory. But these guys, or the guys I worked with from that Black Hawk Down, they were real, bro, and everything was precise. Everything, the way we did things. Like I remember one day I used to, before we got in the vehicles to head out on a mission, I would practice my transition to pistol. Still got it. Yeah. Hey, I would do that anyway. My boss, the project manager, come over to me one day and said, "Oh, you need to stop doing that." And I said, "Oh, why?" He said, "Oh, you're pulling your pistol out." It's just this. If there wasn't a target there, you didn't do that.
Gotcha.
Which to me was a different. I was aware of my skill, and I wasn't going to put my finger on the trigger. But that was the level that they operated at. So I was like, Roger that. I took the learning of that. But the standard, bro, was high. The standard to do the mission to the best of your ability was higher than I'd seen before. Even in my time in the unit. And everybody rose to that challenge, and that made an awesome environment of team. I had the cool experience one day to sit down with my project manager, and he took me through Black Hawk Down as it happened off the movie.
Right.
Yeah, and just pointed out what was real and what was not. So that was awesome, bro. That was just, that was learning for me and how it went, and understanding that those key characters in that movie from the Delta side, there's multiple people, like it wasn't just that singular guy, different guys. But in our company, bro, we're also those guys off that movie that were the key, that, like the guys doing solo stuff and all that worked for Triple Canopy. So I got to meet them, and one guy was called Doctor, aka Dr. Death, and just amazing people. But just of character, of real truth, and of standards that are excellent. And every day I had to go to work with that company trying to be the best I could be, because that was the standard. There was no options. I saw guys get sent home.
Gotcha.
Guys got sent home on my course to go to Triple Canopy, bro. We were doing some stuff at a race course, just driving around a car park.
Yep.
This American guy had his feet up he was in the passenger seat. We weren't doing an iteration at that time. Had his feet up on the dashboard. One of the instructors saw him, bro. Yeah, on the radio, everybody stop. Just gone.
Binned him,
bro.
Wow.
Good dude, good operator.
Yeah.
It's not what you do, bro. You don't
Yeah.
Whether,
And come
whether
here,
you're
put
doing
your
it-
feet up on the dashboard.
whether you're doing a task or not.
Yeah.
It's not the standard. Gone. So it was awesome to see.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was them. And again, we had a lot of opportunity to sit around and talk, with these guys, and especially Gary or Greedy, who was my project manager.
Right.
Yeah, and just the more we talked and the training we did, there was a difference to it. There's a different understanding of why we did this and why we did that. And as I learnt, obviously after Black Hawk Down, there was a lot of, they did a lot of reflection and learning from that. And yeah, just the understanding of the psychology of why we do what we do and why the brain does what it does. So yeah, I could see a difference in the way they were doing things, and that made me curious.
Gotcha.
I've been curious all my life. So in that curiosity, bro, just, hey, why do you do that? And why do you do this? And, why do you turn like that? Or why is this important? Why do you carry that there? And yeah, just that opened up the Pandora's box of, what they'd been exposed to in the psychology or combat psychology space. And again, that just, I have a tendency, bro, to when I get passionate about something, I dive feet first and become a bit tunnel visioned, trying to learn that thing and that become that for me. And as it did, it led into my, wanting to understand PTS. And then from my understanding or learning, continue to learn about PTS, how do I help people? When I come back to New Zealand, it was how do we be better? How do I be better? How do I not get hurt? How do I help the team be better? And then from that was, well, what about people who are hurt? How do we help them?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's awesome, mate. And it's so cool to hear and to have, when you find that thing that you're passionate about, all those things that you're passionate about, and it really does, it gives, well, I find anyway, it gives that just a greater sense of value and meaning and drive again to be able to get into stuff. And this, having the opportunity, I'm extremely privileged to be able to sit and have conversations with people like yourself and many others as well from different walks of life, and have an opportunity to connect with people like you who openly and are willing to share aspects of your life, because it's, you come from an environment that is highly secretive, and for good reason, and it's not a natural thing for people like yourself to come on and to share a bit about themselves. But the power that's there within it, I feel anyway, can connect and speak to so many different people, whether they've served in the unit or not. It just so happens that there's a number of veterans and current serving members that have really taken a lot away from people like yourselves, messages and stuff, and I know they will from this one today as well. So thanks again.
Can I just offer on that, bro? It's the,
Please.
And any of the brothers, sisters that are listening to this from the unit, in psychology we know, and me and my partner now are reading some good books on trauma, as we do, and one of the key things, bro, is and this has been a thing of mine for a long time, is within this space, whether it be trauma or not, you sharing your story with people of like-minded who have been there. Like, you nod when I talk, and I nod when you talk, because we've been there and we understand truly. If you go to a counsellor, unless they've done what you've done, whatever that is, if they haven't been a firefighter or a paramedic or a doctor, or you can talk about trauma, but it's not known. But when you talk to a peer or peer group with that understanding, and people nod, it's in the literature. They've shown the brain, it changes, it relaxes, it allows those things to come out. So to all my brothers and sisters, it's not about being secretive. It's not about upholding this thing of the unit. Like, my missions are long gone. War's so different now to what it was when I was there. That the message is now bigger. It's how do we share what we've learnt with all these other people, and that's, I don't need to tell you about secret missions I did, but I'll tell you about those experiences I took and learnt, and where they've led me to, and the people that's helped, by sharing my story, by being a listener, to having people talk to me about their traumas, and me to a percentage understanding, and being able to actually nod with real love, araha, opposed to a counsellor who, I've read the book, and the book was awesome. However, I don't, so I just say that to our people, mate. Yeah, it's important.
Beautiful, mate.
You don't know who you'll reach.
Yeah, 100%. And
might be one person. Yeah.
Beautiful, mate. And
Welcome.
just on that too, I love we don't need to delve into the secret missions and all the, the real OPSEC type stuff of there. And, depending on, I guess, and I get where the unit is coming from, it's not something that they're trying to shine a light on. It's not something that I'm trying to shine a light on the unit either. And when people's initials or nicknames and stuff are used, it's like, only those that are within the unit will know who those people are. Like we've mentioned some of the nicknames, or you've mentioned a first name. Like how many are there? Like good luck to those that are not part of the unit to try to figure out who it is that we're talking about, or like, and that's not to be disrespectful to those guys. Like they know who they are, and the operators, current and past or former members, know who those people are. But the names are definitely not mentioned, or the nicknames and initials aren't mentioned, so that people can then discover who they are. But I just appreciate your openness, and the honesty comes through. And each person, I'm going to have another former member from the unit come on the podcast later this week on Wednesday, and his way of sharing some of the information may be very different, and that's 100% cool. But what I'm really enjoying here is spending time with Pup Gregg Johnson and hearing how you communicate, hearing your experiences and the things that you've done and the way that you're delivering it, mate, in my opinion, is beautiful. So appreciate it.
Again, grateful to be heard, because that's important as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And if I could just talk what you just said, bro, is again, having studied psychology since 2007 and understanding that we are very different even in the unit, there's that I want to be secretive, and for me, I want to share my message because it's important for people to hear, and some people in that unit have done some amazing things that'll never be acknowledged. And that's good for some people, but there's some people who've done amazing things, and they deserve, just for me to say not their names, but thank you to those people. Thank you for all the things they've done that haven't been awarded with a medal or a thank you. But I'd also say from my heart to those people that have role modelled for me both the good and the not good, because there's power in all of that, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, thank you to you people.
Man, that's
side note. Sorry.
Super nice. No, that's beautiful, man. And we'll probably come back to that as we near the end of this. But I've still got, some more stuff
Far away.
I want to go through with
Far
you.
away.
And I love. So you've spoken about you're passionate about that PTS space and learning about how do we stop our people getting hurt on ops, and how we can pay that forward, or how you can use the lived experiences that you've had and look to try to pay that forward and help, whether that's the next generation, whether that's current serving members, whether they're police, paramedics, all that sort of thing, as you've touched on. And I want to sort of delve into that. So I'm going to jump forward to one part, and then I'm going to come back to the outdoors stuff. But you returned, you came back to NZ in 2015, and then in 2016 went back to school, as you put it, and went to the Nelson Marlborough Institute of Technology to upskill, going through the outdoor stuff, outdoor activities. So you did a whole bunch of whitewater, sea kayaking, rock climbing, tramping. And then your aim was to go into work as an outward bound instructor in NZ and see how they learn and see how they use nature to help people grow and go through those things. And then coming back, you've spoken about trying to stop or limit our exposure to war, and later how we could help our emergency first responders who also face trauma every day. So tying that in, I guess, with the outdoor stuff that you've done, the fact that you mentioned you've been studying psychology since 2007, was it, did you say?
Yeah.
And then putting all of that into play and working with, and this might sort of be moving into what it is or some of the work that you're doing now, but there's still another piece which I want to get to. Okay. Can you just talk about how you found having that combination of all that information and what sort of things you're seeing, how it's been implemented, particularly in that emergency first responder space? What sort of things have you been, I guess, fortunate enough, I'm pretty sure is the term that you would use. What sort of things have you been fortunate enough to be involved in and trying to pay that forward and trying to help those people in that space, if that makes sense?
Mate, I would say it's hard. It's that space is hard because people don't, and I don't know if you've seen, there was like 6 articles on stuff around police mental wellness
I've seen some, but I haven't been giving a lot of time and attention to it. But I do know that there's significant challenges in that space, as well as the other frontline responders and the medics and that sort of stuff, paramedics in particular.
Yeah, so the fire service, there was an article the other day around things that they are, either not getting help with, or what are they getting exposed to. Yeah, I don't know if you know, I think it was 10 years or more so that they signed a thing of understanding with the ambulance that they would go to medical emergencies. And in all my research, in all my research and people I've talked to, like I've talked to the head psych of St. John's, or Dale Saunders, beautiful lady. I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of the firefighters are a career, 20, 30 years, and a lot of them didn't sign up to go to suicides or cardiac arrests, or so as you and I know as warriors, bro, we have a mindset like, I'm probably not the best mother figure, because, I am now because I've developed, I've grown a lot, but back then I wasn't, I was a soldier, bro, transitioned to rifle to pistol was my aim. To be a good leader was my aim. So, but understanding, so, if you're not wired to be going to medical emergencies, and now you're constantly getting, like one of the stories the other day on stuff with the fire service, is a guy in his first year went to 3 suicides in one day. Bro, if you're not wired, I could talk about the emotional states of the brain, but if that's not the way you are put together, then those things can hurt you. And we know over stress and PTS that over time that can build up. Whether you think you're okay now, in time that stuff can blow up. And if you're already not pre-wired to accept that as a thing, as us warriors are, then it'll hurt you. So, it's hard that a lot of these, I don't know if you've seen the fire service ones, are all like, oh yeah, but we're doing this and we're doing that. But the reality that I've seen or not seen is that stuff's not happening. Like Mike King gave his medal back because they're not doing enough in the mental health space.
I saw that too.
Well, Dale Saunders, the head psych of St. John's, said to us, to the program we're trying to organise now, I'll put 5,000 through, but we can't find we've got to find funding because they don't get a lot of money. So money's a huge issue. Also an understanding, bro. In New Zealand, we've got this. Also, my partner's she's a former athlete, run at world level, and she's just finished a course last year with Stacey Sims, one of the leading women researchers. And I don't know if you've seen all that stuff and understanding women in their period and optimizing that for performance. And anyway, it used to cause all these red S's, a thing where women get hurt by under eating and all these things, and destroys their hormones and can hurt them in future life. But anyway, they just put out an article on stuff yesterday about high performance sport, and they're offering all these programs with pure understanding of women and how women need to be supported, and they're not doing it. So it's the same in this mental health space. I see all these people crying out. I see all these articles on stuff. I've talked to so many people at the highest levels, and I see a real lack of action. Back to in New Zealand, so about the sports news. Sorry, I ramble a lot. That Sports New Zealand piece is, it's really hard to show. New Zealand seems to need all the science and proof that nature, in my realm, will help you. In America, mate, if you're a veteran, it's free to go to Outward Bound. But I helped, I don't know if you know, the people that headed up No Duff charity.
Here in NZ?
Yeah. No, Woody.
Woody, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, he was one of the founding, him and I concepted a course at Outward Bound years ago. First one run in New Zealand for veterans. And he got a whole lot of money and all of that. They've never run another one, but we had to find money to support these people.
Support it. Yeah, right.
Again, there is so much science, but unless it's out in New Zealand, like New Zealand seems to be very timid by, why do you think this works? I know it works intrinsically because I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, but I don't have the MRI scans or the, you can't show somebody's better. Like, that's time. You don't have, unless you're doing a longevity study or a longitudinal study, you can't show that doing this week trip in the nature was going to help you long term. Like, we just don't have that time to show that. You know, I'm all about, I don't know if you've read Stanley McChrystal's books. You know, he was the general.
I haven't.
My share of the task, and listeners, I'd say read these books. My share of the task was his first book, but then he talked about, he changed the whole concept of special operations and created this narrative called Team of Teams, which is another book. But it just talks about taking all these teams, and for him it was SEAL Team 6 and Delta and some of those other agencies, CIA, NSA, and understanding that they all had their culture and they were all very different. But to be effective, they needed to work together. So in this space, it's my passion, bro, that we as a collective become a team of teams, like me knowing you, you knowing me knowing someone else, is how do we help people as a team? Because I understand that my modality of nature is not for everybody, but is for a lot. My partner's training at the moment to use horses for therapy with a good friend of ours, bro, and she's been working with school kids and the effect it's having on them. But I'm all about modalities, bro. If you need, and again in my journey, listening to a Delta guy with PTS, 7 things for him to find out what worked. 7 different things he went to, completely different. Meditation, bloody electric things on your brain, to, all of that to find a modality that worked for him. So, I just want to say, hey, here's one modality. If this works for you, then come and try. If it's horses, awesome. If it's meditation, awesome. If it's whatever. But so for me, it's just wanting to create this team of people that we've got on call to say if somebody needs help, then we've got a way to help, and we can explore how to do that for them. That's important because people, but in New Zealand, we're so insular, bro. We're so, Veterans Affairs, give me some money. I'm reaching out now. If you're from Veterans Affairs, hear me, give me some money and give us a chance to just create a break for people, Man,
that so much power in what you've just mentioned there, and a lot of crossover. That the team of teams thing that you've just mentioned, I've been fortunate enough, Willie Aotearoa VC is working on and has been developing a program. Hopefully I'm not giving away stuff here, but I don't think I am. But he's already run a pilot program involving horses. So to hear that your partner's doing that, there's an opportunity. It sounds to me like there's an opportunity to connect and sort of work together or do whatever, leverage connections and build, like you said, build those connections and friendships, and with the intent and the ability to be able to pay it forward, which is what both sides are doing. You mentioned about whether it's meditation or whether it's cold water therapy. There's a guy who I'm lucky enough to have as a guest on the podcast later on this week, Ryan Gilbert, who runs that Forge stuff down in the South Island. I don't know a lot about him. I was sort of introduced to him through Dion Jensen, the Lion Academy, and the good news. He talks about the good news about PTSD and all that sort of stuff. But just some incredible people. I love what you've mentioned about that opportunity to be able to connect with people. Veteran Affairs would be another great place and opportunity to connect with, but also the No Duff thing that you spoke about as well sounds really awesome.
I'll connect you to Rebecca Nelson, Navy lady, who's set up that, but her story is somebody to get on, bro.
Awesome.
What she has done and is doing for the veteran community and emergency services, amazing. And she's somebody I've talked to quite a bit, and she's Brilliant. A shining light in the team she's bringing together and what they're doing through necessity. Originally not getting a lot of support, but now getting support. But just a woman who chose to do the right thing, and power, man, the power of that.
That's awesome.
It's spectacular.
Brilliant. Definitely. I'll get her contacts from you after this. That'd be cool.
And that's just expanding the team. The more people we have that we can reach out to or send people to or get people from.
Brilliant, mate. Bloody powerful. Just awesome. Powerful. All right. And what I wanted to ask for you, because going back to school, and when I read that, it put a smile on my face as well. The words that you used. What was that? It just shows it's a real sign for me anyway of somebody that's willing to put themselves out there. It's not an easy thing to go. But how old are you at this stage of your life? How was it? How many years?
49 in November.
49 in November. And so, it's not and that's only a few years ago, 6 years ago, thereabouts.
Yep.
Of you going back. It's not one of the, I guess, or I would imagine it's potentially not one of the most comfortable things to do when you think about universities or schools and that younger generation coming through, but a real testament, I just want to mention, to your growth and ability to be able to be planning and looking ahead and your reasons for wanting to do that. And again, coming back to you're passionate and driven to want to do this, so you're going to go through and learn more and stuff like what Bill's spoken about. Well, you haven't failed, you quit, if you're looking at the things, you keep going, keep reapplying, keep doing that test again. So with regards to these, what was that whole environment like for you going back to school? Obviously you're passionate and driven about it. Was it an easy decision? Was it hard?
I'll tell you the decision. I'd come home from Thailand, and not a lot of jobs in New Zealand for a breacher. Not a lot of jobs for whatever you want to define a unit member as. Not a lot of those jobs, bro. Not a lot of shooting courses getting run on the weekends for Pup Johnson to be running. So I applied for a job at Customs and got to the last interview processes. It was a new job. Anyway, missed out because I didn't have a technical skill. Didn't have that side of the game. So I was lost. No, I wasn't lost, bro. I was just marking time, obviously, left, right, waiting for whatever was next. And I don't know if you've heard a guy, Nathan Fave's a venture racer, 6-time world champion.
Oh wow, no, I haven't.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was reading his book, awesome read, and he had worked it outward bound. So, bro, I was just like, man, I'm going to email him. So I finished his book, email, bro, nathanfave.com, whatever it was. Emailed him, said, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. You worked it outward bound. I want to work it outward bound. Can you give me some advice, please? Yeah, grateful, Greg. And he emailed me back that next day.
Awesome.
Said, do this. Ring these people, go back to the school for a year. So gave me this huge email, mate, of
awesome.
What to do. Yeah, we're now friends, and I work from him. He runs one of the biggest, or the biggest women's adventure race in the world, Spring Challenge. And I've worked for him for the last 5 or 6 years on those races. But anyway, awesome. So he said, go back to school. So this was a Monday, I think, bro, and this course started on a Wednesday. So he gave me the phone number. I ring up, say, hey, I'm this dude, I want to do your course. And they're like, oh, come in for an interview. And obviously I turn up and they're like, oh, what's your background? I said, oh, this is who I am. And, sweet. As long as you got the money and pay the bill, bro, you're good to go. I turn up on this course and the instructors all know who I am, this guy from the SAS and that. And it was awesome, bro. I had such an amazing year. I was a father to these 20 kids. Bro, I did my share of counselling. I did some cool trips with young people. I just was young at heart, doing adventures on the weekend with young 20-year-olds. It was cool, bro. And I was lucky, I was just talking to my partner the other day about this, but I didn't know the testing. They were just like, hey, you need to go and do this other thing. And we were rafting and it was pissing down with rain one day and the raft guides I was out helping put the rafts on you stack them 4 or 5 high on a trailer, bro. And the staff, the instructors, hey, Greg, just come and sit in the van. I'd sit in the van. You done your work. It was, I was lucky, bro. I was extremely lucky. And, it got to, I think, the tramping terminal where you've got to go and guide a tramp and do all this interp of the bush and all that. And, this is on Monday for me. And I get a phone call on Friday from one of the instructors. Hey, you're not going tramping now. I need you to go sea kayaking to keep an eye on these other people. I've got my terminal test to do. So, you're all right. Bro, off kayaking I went, and that was a real theme, through my whole course. And
wow.
It was just an amazing experience, like I said, to be 20 kids. And a funny story where we had one boy, awesome dude, who was quite a hard nut. And, we're skiing. We're skiing one day and we get on the chairlift, him and I, we're friends, get on the chairlift and he goes, hey, quite a few other people come to you and ask for you for advice in that, eh? I was like, yep. He goes, I said, do you need some? He goes, no, I'm good, bro, I'm good. And a little bit further up, hey, bro. Oh, I'm seeing this girl. Hey, bro. Okay, bro. Okay. But yeah, it was, like 7 months into this course, and I sat on the chairlift and for the rest of the day, or skiing, and talking about this. And it was awesome, bro. It was just amazing. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and obviously got what I needed out of it, and then got a job as a kayak guide over summer before outward bound selection.
Right.
So I got to work in the Able Tasman, which is where I am now, and just kayaking and multi-day trips and people around the world. It was pre-COVID. Yeah. Had some amazing clients from everywhere, and just to That's go on awesome. A journey with them. Yeah, and that just side note to that's where I had a fireman from Australia. He'd been a firefighter for 30 years, and he was now in the training space, 10 years in the training space.
Yep.
And him and I talked a lot about mental health stuff. Anyway, it's like the one morning, bro, a multi-day trip, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and he hadn't got up. And I said to his wife, I said, "Oh, where's your husband?" He said, "Oh, he's still asleep. He hasn't done this for 30 years."
Yeah, right.
So just being in nature, bro, allowing himself to be calm and in conversation, and just to quiet the amygdala down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got to have a sleep, and it was awesome, powerful. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It just reaffirmed what I'd learned, or what I knew about nature, and giving people that space to breathe. Yeah.
The impact it can have, the positive impact it can have.
Aye, bro.
And whereabouts? What's the name of the company that you're working with for?
For now, Able Tasman Kayaks.
Able Tasman Kayaks, awesome,
yeah.
Man. And that's so cool to hear. And can I just ask about that? Back at school, the Nelson Marlborough Institute of Technology, is that the only place in New Zealand, if there were people that wanted to do it, that they would need to go to, or?
No, there's a different course on that. It's normally a 2-year program, but I did
Gotcha.
a year. That was adventure tourism.
Gotcha.
There's a course in the West Coast, Greymouth, which they train more as instructors in the outdoors.
Gotcha.
I think there's also one in Christchurch at Aotearoa. Yeah, so there's a few places.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back a little bit to, you said you applied for one of the customs role, and there was a technical component to it or whatever, which resulted in you not getting that one. But it always interests me. I've been fortunate enough to catch up and connect with some old friends and some people that I didn't know or spend time with. And it is something, and you sort of touched on it, which triggered my memory. There's not too many jobs for a breacher back in NZ, with the skills that you learn there. But there's so much, and I think people's view and perception of what you do in those units is very narrow in terms of their understanding of that. And that's intended by the nature of the work and the unit and stuff itself, which is great. But there are so many, I've found anyway, so many transferable skills to, like, from that hearts and minds component when you're out on jobs, and then bringing that in and building connection with people, or trying to bring a team on the same path or understand the same vision, being able to communicate with different cultures or different beliefs or different perspectives on things, because you're surrounded by that every day, not only with like members of your team that you talked about, but also when you go out into the real world, people will call it, and you're working with civilians, and there's this whole different dynamic, and but then the ability to be able to, like, you win some, you lose some, because not all of our approaches or styles are conducive to some of those environments, or for some people. But I just love that's good, like the planning and preparation that you go through for organising courses, the notes that you take when you're going and gathering information, your time at SASR and other jobs that you've done, getting that stuff, and then compiling the report, then presenting a written report, and standing and giving a verbal presentation. All of that stuff is a lot of what I see in employment agencies or companies looking for these days. When they talk about leaders or managers or even people that are coalface, is the ability to be able to connect with people, build relationships, strong positive relationships, maintain those, guide a team, lead a team, whatever. And there's elements to, it's great if you've got certain qualifications, but man, like the amount of technical things that you've learnt in your time, just in the medics course, just in the SIGs course, just in close protection stuff, just in a whole bunch of other things that apply to so many different fields. in the civilian world is just something that I've only probably recently in the last sort of 5-7 years really understood and gone, much like to your point about, oh, I don't think I can do this, like in those leadership positions, I've gone, I can do that job. Like, yeah, I can do that role. Like, that's got I can, and it's been really cool to have those opportunities where people have given me those opportunities. Is that something, long-winded way of getting to a question, but is that something from your side with regards to the experiences that you've had that you've found help you in different situations, whether that was in Thailand, whether that's back here in NZ, whether that's in other parts of the world where you've been working and operating? How much of your time and experience from the unit have you leveraged or utilised, in your opinion, to help you be able to perform in those jobs to the best of your ability?
Yeah, 1,000% it's helped, bro. And I think when you learn a practice of reflection and taking the lessons, just sidestepping that for a quick second, one thing I was really grateful at Outward Bound, bro, is I have been given the gift to translate what I learned in the military into, whatever civilian language, if that's the term you want to use. And my students that I had there, the feedback I got was amazing, because the hardship of 60K or the war things, just being able to narrate them into do hard shit because it's important. So bro, those lessons have been huge. And a couple of years ago, looking at the veteran space and just Facebook and watching these guys come out of service and bitch and moan about the organisation, which I have my own bug to bear with the organisation currently, something I can talk about. But bro, it taught me to learn. It taught me respect. It taught me humility. It taught me to be fit. It taught me so many things. It taught me to hide. Taught me to not hide. There's all these things like you. I avoided leadership courses, bro, because I hated that shit. It taught me so much. So when I see people, but again, it's mindset and framing. Framing something I'm very passionate about, like understanding how to change the frame on a narrative, and that's the narrative I've chosen. That the military taught me so many skills, and the unit just took that to the next level. The things that it taught me. And just a side, like one day we were getting ready for a mission in New Zealand, but getting ready to go overseas. And I had a patrol commander who was in one battalion. I won't say his name, but he might have been there when you were there. He'd left the unit and went back. He was a staff sergeant at one battalion when I was there, but he'd come back to the unit. And I had him as a patrol commander, and I was just a young fella, bro, and we were getting our kit ready, and I was, running around like a headless chicken, or just trying to move fast because we had things to do. And he said to me, hey, just slow down a bit and just be really precise with each job that you do, and then move on to the next one, bro. And that stayed with me till today, that lesson. So, going forward, and at Outward Bound, bro, it just, those military skills that I got, just allowed me to, nothing was a challenge. Nothing. And to this day, like I had a meeting with a catch up with a guy who was the training manager when I was at Outward Bound, and we were talking about these things, and he just said something to me, and I said, that's not hard to me. This is not hard. I said to me, who's taking care of you? You taking care of all these people. Who's taking care of you? And I said, nature is. I go out into nature, and she takes Papatuanuku. She takes care of me, because I have that awareness. But I said, John, this is not hard. You chuck 2 radios on and people shooting at you and some mortars going off and RPGs, and, that's hard. This is life's not, depending on your context, but I've chosen to see, those lessons have allowed me to view day-to-day life as not hard. For me, it's not hard. I choose to live with intention, and those skills, 1,000-fold, bro, and do to this day, like I said, and I offer those now to other people. My lessons of how we do things and why.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
There's so much to take. Sorry, bro, just to finish off, I wish, and if you can do this, or people and I know Willie tried, and I know others have tried, and they're doing it very well in Aussies, but as much as our people coming out of service don't know what they have to offer, especially if you're a younger person, you and I have got some maturity and had some time to reflect, but younger people coming out, knowing what they've actually got as a skill set, but also organisations knowing what we offer. You know, it's a two-way street, I think. If we could sit 100%. Down with the boss of a big corporation and say, hey, you know, Joe and Papa got these skills, you know, and this is what it looks like, and then being open to those skills, not in a doctorate or a PhD or a thing, but lived experience of leadership at the coalface, real leadership, you know, I call it, because people dying around you's, you know, making those decisions so people live. That's leadership to me at the highest level. You know, it's not a rugby game. You know, so those things. I wish organisations would also understand us and what we offer, and give us the opportunity. Us, I'm talking the collective. That space to grow into that, knowing that, as Bill talked about, we have to learn that, you know, we're not all SAS and we're not all striving to do as many burpees as we can, or, you know. But that takes time to learn, but we have to be given that opportunity to do that. And if there's more people like you doing things like this, educating us on that, like you come out of the service, you've been to war, you're going to be hyper aware. Roger that. Yes, deal with that. Roger that for a while. You'll get over it. If you choose to get over it, you'll get over it. You know, and what's wrong with sitting with your back to the toilet, or, you know, whatever?
Nothing
wrong. Understand when it becomes an issue, when your partner says, you know, wake up, dickhead, what are you doing? You know, why are you seeking cover? But we can educate all that stuff now, bro. You know, enough of us have done enough of it to go, hey, here's the norms, team. Here's the norms. Yeah, and you get out of service. Like, you know, you haven't asked me, but you asked a lot of, what's your transition like? Yeah. Man, get out and do the next thing, just as you did getting in the army. You know, I understand it's not that easy. And again, I understand personality and people and mindset. But, you know, choose what you want to do and get on with it. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
But I want to come back to, you mentioned, and I want to give you an opportunity to speak about it, a bugbear with the organisation. Now, I don't know which organisation you're talking about, but you did mention, if I heard correctly, maybe an opportunity to speak about it here. I mean, if you want to, you can. I don't know what it is, but feel free if you'd like to, mate.
Yeah, bugbear may be the wrong word, but just looking at the Defence Force, like I just got back in for 2 years. I think I put that down. I just got out in December. And I went back to give back. You know, my sole intention was to go back and give back. And I got that opportunity to go to the youth development unit. But as I wrote to you, you know, that didn't fit with me because, just the way they were operating was you know, I'm going to say
you
dangerous.
Went aligned it. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all this, you know, background in the outdoors and experience and all these things I've done leading people, you know, and to see the way they were operating, and I called them out on it, and that didn't go down too well. It didn't go down too well at all. So, bam, it's out of there. Second, first, you know, can I come back? And even that was an experience for me, bro, going back to there and trying to offer my knowledge. And, you know, one thing we haven't talked about is I also spent time working in Jordan at the King Abdullah Special Operations Training Centre. Yeah. You know, teaching a European Special Operations Unit, urban stuff.
No, I didn't know about that. Yeah.
No, I didn't put it down, but So you know, luckily I've had an opportunity to learn all these things from amazing people around the world. And so I went back second, first, going, you know, I can offer this. They reached out to me while I was at YDU when lockdown first happened. Right. One of the boys who was ex-badge members now, or was back there, he's just left a training role somewhere else. But he said, hey, bro, can you come and run some training for our company during lockdown? And I was like, roger that, bro. I'll just reach out to my leadership and ask if that's okay. And got the kibosh, bro.
Is that right?
Got the, it just blew me. You know, we come from somebody wants my help, roger that. And it's my expertise. Man, I love that shit. I love training people. Yeah. So I got that opportunity and no, can't do it. So, I'm just sitting in my room. Yeah. At the time I was in barracks. Yeah. So just sitting in my room, why not? So, you know, I was stuff it. I went and did it anyway. Yeah. Just wore civvies, bro. Because it was important, man. If I get an opportunity to share my experiences to potentially help people stay alive, because I am a SME in it. You know, urban is my space, and like I said, I've trained a lot and learnt a lot and read a lot about it, and I got asked for help, so I was like, roger that, and I'll go and help, man. Stuff you leadership. But anyway, so that led all on to me not being the flavour of the month at that place. So, So
you weren't in your room where they wanted you to be when they can come get you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But sorry, carry on.
No, all good. So, went to second first, and I found that a really interesting space too, mate, that I turned up and had all this knowledge and experience. And
training wing? Was that?
Training wing, yeah. Went into training wing, and, obviously I knew a lot of those guys were the RSM, and I knew these guys from back in the day. RSM was Recce Patrol Commander when I was in Recce, and the SWI was a lower than me, joined after me, was in Recce. So I went back there, but there's other people in that organisation that I really struggled with, and I found it really interesting that the way they looked at me, and it wasn't until another guy come back into service, ex-unit member, and he come to second first and come into training wing, and we were having a discussion one day, and he said to me, "Bro, I just don't feel welcome." And it was a light bulb moment for me, mate. It's like, because I'd been searching for this feeling, like, what is it? What is it? Yeah. What do I feel? Because I don't feel, and that was it. I didn't feel welcome.
Too.
Yeah, and I just found it really interesting that, I had these certain senior NCOs, bro, that were, just your knowledge threatened them. Yeah. And respectfully, like, our infantry hadn't done a lot. They haven't done a lot compared to what the unit had done. Yeah. And I was just there and said, hey, here's my knowledge. You want it, use it, man. And I'll be out there every day training people if that's what you want. And no, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I was wearing black rank because I wanted to. Yeah. I wanted to show some way that I was a unit member, past unit member. Yeah. And I wanted a role model to young soldiers, and had a certain staff sergeant come say, fucking get that off. 10 years younger than me, mate. Yeah, right. And so, I found that really interesting. And but that led into, what we're doing now with this Pakiri program. We've just run 4 programs for the 2nd 1st Battalion in the resilience space, because it was identified that, our soldiers are not resilient, and the junior NCO program was trying to develop a resilient week. Because they've identified that our people aren't resilient, and it wasn't working too well. But so I, with my experience, and got some people in that I'm working with to present to the CO and RSM and SWI, and luckily they took that on board. But only had funding for 4 programs. I'm not sure if it's going to continue, but those programs offered some amazing stuff to our people. But that in that space, bro, it showed me while being there, like some of that leadership. And I'll call them out, don't understand people. They don't understand people. And I talked to the Army Leadership Centre, which is in Burnham, and some of the senior people there. And they're running amazing courses, bro, and doing some amazing stuff, self-awareness, all of these models that are perfect. But they come back to the battalion and it's not used at the battalion. Yeah, right. Because that senior leadership just doesn't understand how that could work. Oh, right. So they're really capping, and there's a whole lot of... the mental health. A friend of mine who's just got out of the army as an officer, who's not too happy at the moment. He got treated not so well. It's another story we can talk about later. But he got rung up by somebody the other day asking for help. He's out now, and he got rung up asking for help. And anyway, he was talking to a doctor down at Burnham, amazing doctor. He said he's never seen a mental health crisis like this in the military ever. Burnout. Wow. Depression, all of these things. And for me, I look at our leadership and some of those people, and it's like I said to you about performance sport and about emergency services. There's a lot of talk. Bro, there's a lot of talk and this and that, but I'm about action, man. You can read the book, but you gotta do it, mate. Deadlifts, read the book, understand the positions, but man, at some stage you got to grab that barbell. Read the book about running. I took up ultra running, bro, at 47. Just a role model to young soldiers, or not, part of it, to continue to do hard things. And I was really lucky to have young soldiers coming up to me all the time going, oh, can I talk to you about selection, or can I talk to you about this? Or my partner will tell you at the gym every day, you take 3 hours to train, because can you tell me about this? Or, but just understanding people, and that's why I helped, create this Pakiri program, because it's just understanding our people and what they need. as a trainer, you know how to do that. You see, okay, this is, but the system overall is not allowing that, and I have a fear that, somebody's going to get hurt because we're not. Oh, that's the fear down there. I'm just re-saying it. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I wanted to ask you, how many people do you cater for on those courses or the 4 programs that you were able to run? Because have you run those programs already?
Yeah.
How many?
Amazing results too, bro. Yeah, 1,000% better than we thought.
Yeah.
Just giving them, and so just a background on those courses is, mate, my focus is trying to be proactive, with people in the trauma space. Like, as you know, we've got a lot of, I don't think it works very effectively. We have a lot of systems in place for when you're broken, man, at the bottom of the ambulance, at the bottom of the cliff, man. I'm all about, let's do the stuff at the top. I'll teach you how to tie some knots. I'll teach you how to go over the edge safely, lower yourself down, opposed to just jumping and being hurt physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever that thing's. So just looking at the systems, and so my focus was to give them preactive tools, so breathing, mindfulness, self-talk, but then putting them into a nature environment, bro, where you have to test those things. Like we do a rescue day in the sea in middle of winter, so it's cold, so you've got to deal with a bit of self-talk around that and breathing, obviously, to get the skill. And then we do some testing, so they've got to be on the clock. Got to do a rescue within a set time. We do a canyon in the Able Tasman. That's beautiful, bro. 6 metre jump, 8 metre waterfall jump, cold, middle of winter. Some true self-talk, because a lot of people talk up, I'm comfortable, bro. You get them in there, you observe people like I do, bro. You could, hey, bro, what's going on for you right now? Man, because you're in camp, you're as loud as hell, and out here you are silent and your body position's all covered up. You're like a book to me, bro. People are like a book, that you know as I do. Once, if you're in this space and you're learning people, and they become like a book, and your body language. So the doing, because back to that, for me it's important to do, bro. And our Defence Force, I saw when I was there, is they've got these beautiful publications, bro, pre-deployment, post-deployment, got these little fold-out beautiful cards on mental health. But when I was there, I asked the question, well, what does that look like in action? What does that actually mean in the doing of? And nobody could answer me. I used to get a lot, pup, you don't understand. Well, I do understand. I don't have a PhD.
We don't have a PhD. Was a lot of that stuff, because that's interesting, sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here as well, but is a lot of that stuff, because that interests me, what you're talking about, is it set up in a way that it's then up to the individual to reach out to leverage those resources, for want of a better term, like all the beautiful stuff in the brochures and in the pamphlets? Is it up to then the individual soldier, he or she, if they feel they need it, do they then, sort of like an EAP, like that employee assistance program stuff, where they have to do it themselves? Is that how that is set up?
Mate, I just got told the other day that a guy I know really well tried to commit suicide in his OC's office. He'd run the helpline 10 times. Nobody got back to him. And he was a man of God. One of the most beautiful people I've ever met, mate. Driven. But the place he was at, that's how desperate he got.
Major warning sign, something's not right.
Anyway, luckily his OC went to work early and found him and cut him down. And the story I got told to take a couple of breaths and go back to work.
Wow. For the OC that found him. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, the wife got rung and she said, "Oh, should I meet him at hospital?" I said, "Oh no, he's still here." Yeah, so mate, the bigger story is and like you said, we could talk forever, and but for me, it's my partner's twin sister is a teacher at Rangiora College, Rangiora High, 2,000 students, and we talk a lot around learning and students' resilience, all of these things, the kaupapa. But one thing the teachers thought is that they would stop seeing the trauma from the Christchurch earthquakes. Or anyway, that's ongoing.
Yeah, I bet.
So they're still seeing it. So I have an understanding, and a lot of us have an understanding that, like COVID, there's real issues around COVID lockdown for our young.
Yep.
Well, those people are joining the army now. And what I know, talking, I had a lot of meeting with the counsellors down there, social workers and the doctors. They're just joining the service, bro, and getting, re-traumatised by a corporal yelling at them.
Crazy.
Yet we don't understand childhood trauma and the effects, and then how am I as a person if I don't have understanding that, every time I yell at a young girl or a young boy in the service, I'm affecting them. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that manifest in people crying out for help in these army camps, and the system's not in. Bro, to get a meeting with the social worker took me 6 weeks because he was so busy. Another 2 months to get him to a meeting to talk about. So I tried to introduce this program so they could offer it to their people.
As a like a pathway or
outside of second first. If you've got some people that need a break, then here's a program for 3 days in nature, 3 nights in nature, to give them that break. And one of the social workers had worked in that space before, knew how powerful it was. But did you think we could? You think we could psych? But trying to get a meeting with the psych, the camp psych, months, too busy.
That's tough, man.
Yeah. So it's to me, bro. I hear a lot of words, I hear a lot of talk, I see a lot of beautiful things, but there's an action phase to anything, unless it's only academic. But to be better, actively or reactively, there's that action phase, and carrying the barbell or doing the squat or running the run has to happen. So teaching people to breathe, then there has to be a process of giving them the opportunity to breathe.
And then there's
it's all well and good me saying, exactly, bro, hey, breathing's awesome, team, do this. Man, you have to do it, and you have to do it somewhere where you have to do it. Like cold water, you've got to breathe, But I'm not saying it'll work for you, but you have to try. Mindfulness, you have to try.
Find that modality that you were speaking about earlier.
But I have to put you into that place to do that. You can't. A lot of people, as I saw it out with Bound Bro, some people get it like that. Most people don't. There's got to be a pathway of doing. Got to build that neural pathway of, squats. How do I do a proper squat? How do I do a proper thruster? I've got to build a neural pathway to become proficient. It's no different to breathing or mindfulness or whatever you choose. You've got to build that pathway, and that's practice, repetition. But the organisations across New Zealand don't allow that space of repetition to be better. If you're emergency services, bro, you get three counselling sessions and you're done.
That's crazy, eh?
Good luck with that if you don't get a good counsellor.
Or the time it takes to be able to get in on those sessions, if it's taking 6 weeks or longer to mate, I definitely think we need to connect again. Hopefully you do too, but there's also something else that I'm going to speak with you about. But what I want to do here is, if it's all right with you, is look to just wrap up this session and acknowledge you for coming on the podcast, B, sharing just snippets, bro, of the things that you've done and been involved in, but also more importantly, just to acknowledge and express my love and appreciation for the things that you're doing in this mental health space, in the space that you're clearly passionate about and wanting to try to pay it forward and help that next generation coming through, but also those that are in there at the moment. You've touched on some things that some people may not want to hear, and I guess too bad, like there's not a lot of editing that goes on this podcast, bro, so it'll be going up as it is, and if people have their problems or whatever, that then they can just contact me if they need to. But I just want to take the time to acknowledge and thank you for your honesty on here and our time together. Thank you for accepting again to come on, sharing some of the insights which you've shared, and I'm looking forward to staying connected with you, Pup, and having some more conversations with you, maybe in a slightly different setting to this, in addition to seeing what it is that you're doing and how it can send and drive more attention to that. So what I'll do is, so it's with Able Tasman Sea Kayaking, you with?
Yep.
That's where
and
you're
if they,
currently at?
yep. But if people want to look online, pakari dot
.nz.
Yep.
Cool. Pakari, PAKARI.NZ. I'll make sure all of that stuff goes into the show notes. But brother, this has been an absolute privilege, and I'm looking forward to staying connected and catching up with you again. And appreciate you and your time, bro.
Grateful, bro.
And as always, at the end of these, we sign off with Who Dares Wins.